That sounds ominous.
Whoops, I was muted. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show called CORE. This is a show called CORE. This intro right here, I've got a guy in Sweden who was inspired by Beau's amazing show music that we do here on the show. So he made a cover of it. Listen to this tail end. It's pretty good right here. Kind of makes me want to take Doom Guy out for a spin. You know what I mean?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great. His name is, I wrote it down, or did I? I thought I did. I thought I wrote it down. It's somewhere here. Oh, you know what? It's in the file itself. His name is Saboteurs Sweden, and I thought it was rad. So thanks. We're going to put it in the rotation and have it as part of our lineup. So we really appreciate you taking the time. A lot of talented people out there, you know, listening to our show, which always blows my mind. Anyway, we're back. This is the only first and only podcast to make it to Everest Base Camp 1 and not throw up. It's pretty impressive, I thought. Yeah. What do you think of that? Pretty, the world was against us, guys. We did it. We made it.
We did it because it was there.
It was.
Wait, what's Everest Base Camp?
It's like, you ever watch an Everest documentary and they're climbing and they always have to go to the base camp that has all the used bottles? It's like a total litter nightmare there.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. I've never seen it in a documentary. like, you know, when you're watching a documentary about Everest, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a documentary about Everest.
I'm a sucker for it, it turns out. If you make a documentary about Everest, I go seek it out. Is that weird? I don't like climbing either.
I think a guy I knew who lived down the road from me climbed Mount Everest to the top, actually.
He made it all the way to the peak?
Yeah, I think so. It was years ago, and we've fallen out of touch. It's just someone I knew.
Well, at least he's not one of those guys that like sits down and freezes and then just sits there forever as a frozen statue of a man up there. That happens all the time. People are always dying up there. Yeah.
Oh, people go up and get like ice material and then shattered.
Yep. I don't know if they get shattered, but they definitely they'll sit and give up and then freeze over, kind of Jack Nicholson style in The Shining.
Oh, when someone freezes, you got to shatter them or you don't get experience
That's
points.
what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Like if you're not shattering your target, of course.
You see a frozen person and you're not shattering them.
Of course, our thoughts and condolences to all the people who died on Everest.
Yeah, I do get what you mean. That Everest Camp 1 is a shithole as part of the humor of it.
It sure looks like it. Like do they have like a bunch of Sherpas come up after and clean up all the bottles and oxygen tanks and stuff that people it's always covered in crap. It can't be good for the natural environment of the Himalayas. Wait,
no,
the
but
Himalayas?
I
think that's right.
Tourists for you.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
You know, they go on vacation. They won't litter their own house, but they'll go on vacation and litter your house.
That's right. I would also like to have people litter our house with audio. Oh, what am I talking about? Let me tell you.
Oh, that's a segue.
Yeah, it's not bad. So we usually have the 10 hams number. We still do. That's still a usable thing. And even if you wanted to use it for voicemails, you could.
1-800-10-HAMS, right?
Yeah, 1-800-10-HAMS.
It's the easiest to remember number in all of podcasting.
That's right. That thing's used usually for text, but if you want to use it for voicemails, you still can. But I have a better way. We have a listener who is a dev who is working on a cool project based on a lot of podcasts having crappy sounding phone calls, like voicemails sound like poop. And he's like, well, there's got to be a better way. And so he built a better way. And people at home don't have to do anything special to use this. You don't have to log into anything. You don't have to sign up, give any of your information away. All you do is go to voicecast.app/core. All right. This will be on the website too. voicecast.app/core. And when you go there, it'll just let you use your phone, a browser, desktop, doesn't matter where, but it's going to use the decent microphone on whatever device you're on instead of your crappy phone number. And
I'm going to leave one right now.
Do it. Leave it, and then I'll play it in real time. I'll show you how it works.
All right. Okay. Hang on.
So Beau's going to record.
Hello, poo-poo caca. Poo-poo, me poo-poo caca. Poo-poo caca caca.
Excellent. All right. He did that at voicecast.app.core, which I'm now going to visit. And on my end, it says...
There you go.
It says... Let's see. Let me go to my shows. Here we go. Yes, it tells me I have a new message on Core. Let's go ahead and play it in all its glory and see if it matches with what we just heard.
All right. Okay. Hang on. Hello, poo poo caca. Poo poo, me poo poo caca. Poo poo caca caca.
I mean, that sounds so much like Beau right now that I'm not even sure you weren't playing shenanigans on
Would
me.
you believe that's AI? That's how good DeepSeek is. It's incredible.
Yeah, now here's what's great about it. You guys didn't see this part because only I get to see this. It does real-time transcribing. So I'll put this up and we can all look at it on my screen here. Submitted messages on the date and time. I make poo poo caca is the title, and then it says, all right, okay, hello, poo poo caca, poo poo caca, poo poo caca, poo poo caca. Exactly as you said it.
Did a good job transcribing it.
Yeah, that way I can get at a glance what
Honestly,
you're writing about.
I think it made the message more civilized.
This actually like was very convenient to use. Honestly, I almost do streamers use this. You could use this to like play messages or something. You know what I mean? Well, maybe not from anybody, but you know what I mean. Like
you could. That's the idea. Is he's got? I mean, you could use this for.
I wonder if
streamers.
there's a version of this that's like donate $1 to get your message read on the show.
Oh, he may. That's tools he could build into it. Right now, it's just really like, hey, are you a podcaster or some kind of content creator that uses voicemails? Here's
cool,
the solution.
Like, who wants? It's like we're all internet connected with Discord and 5,000 ways to send messages, and then it's like, here's a phone number. Everyone's like, ugh, nobody liked that.
Nobody likes that. So, but you know what? Go to a website, hit record, hit submit. You're done. Like it's.
What's the URL for everyone again? Just because we always forget to say these things enough.
It's important. You're right. Voicecast.app/core. I have one for every show. This is Core's. Any of them would work because I get them all. But
all right, I want everyone who's listening, please give this a try. We got to beta test it. We got to stress test it.
That's right. Try it out.
Make a bad message like I did. Make a decent one.
Yeah,
not long.
Yeah. It's cool though. I'm keeping yours, by the way. I'm not getting rid of that. That thing's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it'll turn up. One of these days when you're searching for a sound file, this will come up instead.
That's right.
Why do I have this?
Maybe I'll have him change the URL to 10 hams or something. Maybe we do that. I don't know. Some people like 10 hams.
No, I think we keep it clear. It's Core.
All right. Nice.
Just get 10hams.com and have it redirect.
Somebody bought it, right? And said they'd hold it until we needed it or something. I think somebody owns 10 hams. Hold on. 10hams.com. Oh, no, maybe they do, and it's just not pulling up anything, but
10hams.com says Core.
Oh, does it?
When I Google search it in Google rather than don't put the URL right into the bar, but it says Core.
10 hams. That's funny. Did we corner the market?
Shatterproof in chat says they own 10 hams.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he the one?
We just got to let Shatterproof know when we're ready to have 10 hams.
We have a second website.
That's amazing.
This is frogpants.com. Oh, did you update Frogpants? It looks different.
Not really. Not lately. Well, I mean, about 6 months ago.
Wayback Machine?
Oh, that shouldn't go there.
Oh, no, you did. You did since the last time I was there. I get that.
Wow.
Wow, it's even snazzier than before.
Well, I did some stuff. Yeah. I did some stuff. Anyway, I want people to use it. It's really rad. Go check it out. Voicecast.app/core and send your voicemails in. You can do them during the show today. If we see something pop and it looks like it's relevant, I'll play it right here. I ain't messing around. It can be like live calls, except slightly delayed, you know? Anyway, there's that.
I haven't seen this image before. I like that.
It's pretty cool. Now, let's get to this. Hey, you guys, we got some news of note today. All right. Some stuff went down.
News of note.
Marvel Rivals, you may have heard of it. It was a very successful game. It's still in the top 3 most played Steam games as one metric. And I can't really speak to consoles and stuff. But my understanding is it's doing pretty well everywhere that it's out. So this news came out that there was the company was hit with layoffs, including the game director, and everybody lost their minds. And they're like, well, how is this possible? You saying even when a game's successful, everyone's still going to get laid off, especially a live service game? It makes no sense. And I decided, because I knew some people a little on the inside over at NetEase, some people to work with them and some people at NetEase, I thought I would ask what the deal was. And with pretty universal replies, they all kind of said the same thing, which was the articles are overblown, that nobody knows what's actually going on. To which I would say, well, then maybe tell people what's going on. But anyway, That's beside the point for a moment. It turns out it's more complicated. None of the devs and the team leads in China, where the game is, most of the active development is happening and has happened in China, none of them are affected. The person they keep calling a game director, or game director in Seattle, and various people on the Seattle team are essentially defined as contractors. They are not the team. They were doing, like, we need some stateside support and help and consultation, that sort of stuff. Nobody knows why that didn't work out, but it's like letting a contractor go because you no longer need someone to wash your windows. It's kind of like that. I'm not saying that's the equivalent of the work they were doing, but it's not the same as like finding out they've fired Metzen and most of the Warcraft team despite the successful expansion. This isn't that kind of story, it turns out.
He did have a game director title, though, right?
He had a game director title, but that's also a little bit suspect given that, and what these people told me. But to me, it's a little suspect because if they are indeed just consultation studio and they're not there for main underpinning development of Marvel Rivals or any other games for NetEase, it's a little weird to call him a director, but I guess you could say on the U.S. side he was, but he wasn't directing the game. The game is being made regardless. But if I don't call
it that in my article, Scott, nobody will click it.
Exactly.
They got that from his LinkedIn.
Yeah, but I think this is the biggest beef I have with it, and it goes to
he lying. Somebody lost their job, so like it doesn't matter.
Oh, they definitely lost their jobs. No, none of that. Well, that's true, and but
unless they contributed to zero and it's like a complete lie, like it still sucks for them. They probably want to just work on Rivals and have a job.
Yeah, but I don't think their job. See, that's where it gets fishy, and this is why I wish they would.
If you write the article, game director and Marvel Rivals team let go, you are writing an article that is fundamentally not true about what actually happened.
Ding. That's exactly correct. Thank you for putting it in words. I was trying to find. No,
he is not the game director of Marvel Rivals. No.
That guy's in China. The guy in China is the game director.
So they wrote that he was the game director, but it was wrong.
Well, this is so easy to fix. Even if in his LinkedIn he says I'm a great game director, maybe he is of something, maybe he has been of other things. Point is, nobody's getting out in front of it and saying, all right, so everybody understands it's a little bit different. We work as a contractor to the main company at NetEase. This is what we do over here. No one's doing that.
What it says in the PC Gamer article is that Sasser's LinkedIn profile lists him as game director at NetEase. So he's also saying he works for NetEase.
I saw a post from within NetEase internal on their Discord saying we only have one game director. They still work here.
Yeah, they're still there.
That's what they said.
That's as much as they've said.
There's only ever been one game director, and they're still working here.
So what does it tell me? It tells me that there is a big lack of communication between the Chinese arm of NetEase and what it does in the States or in English-speaking territories, and that they need to work on that, no doubt. But this story isn't what everybody says the story is. It's just weird that they would. The
story, if it wasn't for the way it was reacted to and covered and talked about, we wouldn't be talking about it today.
Yeah, it's not really a story after that. I used a poor example in our Discord, but I think I said something like, I don't want to work with this plumber anymore. He's not doing good plumbing for me. He wasn't really an employee. I didn't lay off this guy. I just said, I don't need your services anymore. It's a little like that. Why they don't need their services, I don't know. Why they needed him in the first place, I don't know that either. But it's not as simple as the game director of this successful game has been axed. It didn't work that way. The guy's still there. We don't even know his name, I don't think. The guy in China.
Who, the actual game director?
Yeah, he's probably listed on the thing.
I know it, but I can't remember it. It was listed when they said
Gun Yun Chen, better known to players as Gang Gang.
There you go, Gang Gang.
That's it.
All right. So Gang Gang still.
So these guys who lost their job, they just suck. We don't care about them.
Well, no. See, that's the part we got to make clear. It's not that we don't care about them. It's just that if we're piling on this like it's another example of the games industry firing people at will it's not like that. These aren't employees in the traditional way.
I kind of still think it is, but I'll just leave it at
No. Tell me why you think it is. I'm curious. Just curious.
Well, because the game is successful and people still lost their job. Like, did the money dry up? You know,
No.
but like they were part of. Presumably, I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe they did jack shit. I don't know. But you know, if they're on social media and the guy's trying to get his team other jobs and make sure everyone lands somewhere safely, I'm gonna assume a little bit of good faith, maybe, and say they were probably employed and contributed to the success of the thing, and it sucks, and it does fit the overall narrative of a company doing well and handing out pink slips. So, you know, I think it clears the bar still.
I don't think
it has to be one or the other. Like, it's really weird to say, like, hey, people should report on what it actually was. That doesn't mean that, you know, it's fine that people lose their jobs. But you shouldn't make it sound like the top number one guy in the company working on your game was let go when that wasn't true.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. That's weird because he's, like I said, I think they're just going by what his LinkedIn profile says, which is a game director. So I don't know what any of that means. I don't know what their internal structure is, or if he was had an employment agreement with NetEase or an employment agreement with the subcontractor who employed him. Like, I don't know what all that is, and like sort of splitting hairs on, you know, whether this constitutes a worthy shaming target for a game company or not. I sort of feel it still clears the bar.
Well, but I think that's John's point. We can be unhappy that anyone lost their job, but at the same time, we can expect better out of reporting than this half-assed job of, well, LinkedIn says, and this guy, one guy said, and then not having really any knowledge of what actually happened. I mean, none of these stories were right. They were all wrong about the details of the thing. And we still don't know the details of the thing. That's how bad the reporting is. So the reporting...
That's why I'm in general just saying, like, hey, it wasn't the game director, because that's the thing that people are saying, and that's the thing that we know is not true. I don't know that it's been officially confirmed, and who are you going to trust sources from? The same people that were saying the game director got let go? I don't know if they were contract workers or not contract workers. I've heard numbers of people that were impacted by this. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they were let go because they were no longer needed. They fulfilled their obligations in terms of work, and just now we don't need them. I don't know if it was because it was a restructure, but I think all of this is a great big example of you should really go off of what we do know. What we do know is that everybody who said the game director of Marvel Rivals was let go after the game's success that's not true. It's just not true.
That guy's still there.
He's not the game director.
No.
Yeah.
He just put that on his LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
As a fiction.
Well, we don't know if it's a fiction, but we don't know what he means when he says game director. You could say, the Seattle office that we contract with to do consulting has a guy who's in charge of all of that side. And so he can call himself game director.
I guess we can say for sure, whatever you call the title, he's not like the head honcho.
No.
He's the head honcho of some unit.
Yeah. Temtem or Cham Cham. What was it? What was the other guy? What's his name? Sorry. I can't remember.
It says games creative director is Gung Young Chen, better known to players as Gang Gang.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the difference between a creative director and a game director is, because that distinction's made here in the article.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't work in the industry. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah. But that's the key, is those who cover it, I wish this is my big takeaway. I just wish they would be better at digging in and finding out what was going on instead of going for the cheap headline first. And I don't know how to change that, because everybody's chasing clicks and everybody needs money.
Well, and it's not even just media, because there were plenty of content creators and YouTubers and all of that out there immediately saying, like, look at what they've done. You know, a lot of people picked up and ran with what was being reported. It trickles down and then it grows, and Marvel Rivals started getting review bombed on Steam for, you know, corporate greed and all of that. And it's like, some of that can be true. Like, all those feelings can still exist, but let's do it off basis of reality, not the basis off of someone's weird interpretation of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. The game's still out there, though.
I think somebody should develop a game called Video Game Company Layoffs Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Where 100 people get thrown into a lobby, and it's an office that shrinks, and they all got to pink slip each other until there's only one player left.
Dude, that is actually not a bad idea.
And then he can make a game at a weekend.
That's not a bad idea. That's actually a pretty good game.
I'm surprised it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, because it's got really good parallels to a battle royale, and also has
it's like a game, The Papers, Please guy. It's a social commentary game.
Yeah.
Like the whole the reason it exists is that.
Yeah, somebody call, what's his name? Call that guy. See what he's up to.
Lucas Pope.
Lucas Pope. Yeah. Last thing he made was the crank for that little weird yellow game thing. What's that game thing called? The Playdate.
Oh, the Playdate. Has anyone played the Playdate yet?
He made a game. He made a game for that. I don't have a Playdate, but
didn't you order one? I thought you ordered.
No, I never got one.
I'm on the site. Buy now. Order for $1.99. I thought somebody got one of these.
I just wish they were backlit. They're not backlit at all. If it was backlit, I'd consider it. You just can't see them in the bright sunlight or at night. Like, what's the point? Mm-hmm. But hearing Lucas Pope made a thing for that made me want it for that. But I couldn't pull the trigger. It's like $200 for that. Come on. I'll wait for him. It's
kind of it's a hipster deal. Like
I like it. I think it's cool, and I like that it's the team that made Firewatch made that thing. I think that's a cool thing, you know. But I ain't paying $200 for it. Sorry. All right, well, let's move on. Good luck, everybody, in both the press and NetEase and whoever the creative / game director is of Marvel Rivals. May all your Black Widow play be boring.
Hello, China.
Hi, China. MS Microsoft, you know them. They do the Xbox and the whatnot over there. They built an AI model called Muse, M-U-S-E, kind of like the band, that can learn from you playing and build games based on it. This is for real. Now, I have kind of a take on this, but I'm curious what you guys think of this idea. So just give you a little quick background in simple terms. It is capable of observing, let's say John is sitting in front of a monitor and he's playing a game with a mouse and a keyboard. Doesn't matter the genre, doesn't matter what it is. It will observe everything about what you're doing, including every micro movement you make with a mouse or a keyboard or a controller, doesn't matter. Everything you do in that game, everything the space does, every reaction the game has to you, everything you do to react to the game, physics, all of it, graphics, everything, and then is capable, based on that information and perhaps other inputs, could poop out a game that seems like one John would like to play because of the way he played this other thing they observed. That's the technology.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I think that would be. I would love to see what a generative model would think a game I would love would be.
Yeah.
I would. Call it extreme morbid curiosity on that. I love to see what that game looks like.
Yeah. If it happens, well, I mean, I would try it if they gave us the tool. I don't think the idea is to give it to people to use, but I would be very curious about this too. Like, what is it? What would it poop out? What game?
What would it think?
Yeah. And it would be based on information, not just the game you played, although it could be, but you could also have it take data from every game you've played, and it could get real granular, like John favors the left mouse.
You know what it would be?
Or whatever.
I'll tell you what it would be.
What would it be?
Here's what the game would be. You would launch the game, and it would be, John's game, do 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 do, and then press start. You press start, and then it would pull up a page, not unlike the Steam store page.
Yeah.
And it would present a bunch of deals on video games described as various RPGs and roguelikes and things like that.
Yeah.
And then it would give me a currency to spend, and I would buy these games, and then I would have them.
Yeah.
And they would sit in a library and never get played.
They'd be in some sort of Steam library, and just,
if it could assume if it could see all my gaming behavior, I'm pretty sure it would think that that's how I video game,
Gotcha.
and that's what it would.
It would just be the Steam library page.
Yeah. Just buying deals. It'd be like he loves just buying games on sale and then owning them.
They showed
not doing anything with them.
They showed an example of generated gameplay. You're looking at it here. This GIF of this MOBA shooter looking thing.
Oh, look, even the AI is making hero shooters. What a world we live in.
Yeah. Kind of makes me wonder about how slanted the data is that they train on. I don't know. I don't know how that's.
They trained it on Rivals.
Yeah, it does feel like one of those. Or maybe I also thought of that new Valve MOBA thing that you played a bunch of, Beau. That's in beta or alpha.
Yeah, Deadlock's good.
I'm getting kind of a Deadlock vibe out of this.
It looks more cartoony than. I guess so.
The perspective.
It's a mashup of all of it, right?
Yeah,
that's what. It's basically like slop version of whatever people made.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea is that you would take that data from both of you, and then it would, make games, or still with some hand holding. The idea is, I actually think there's some value to this. If you can train enough data of enough players playing video games, you might be able to glean something in there that says, we really are developing this in the wrong way. People much more respond to this. So our next game, we're going to focus on fixing that. The machine's not really doing anything. You're just using it to analyze. That's interesting to me. By the way, this was all told in a video with Phil Spencer and these other two whose names I forgot.
How funny would it be if Beau's dream game from observing all of his gameplay had a fishing minigame in it?
It turns out he likes it. He just subconsciously doesn't.
No, it'd be a game about destroying fishing mini games. It's like Hitman, but for fishing games. I'd take out all the fishing games in existence.
Yeah, we got blowback. Not a lot of blowback, but a little blowback on your hatred of fishing games. I expected more because I don't know. I just think
the low effort slop that's in every game.
Yeah,
we got blowback from it. It's an honest opinion. It's just an opinion, dude.
I tend to agree with
yours. You have the fishing games. You're winning.
I tend to agree with you. I don't know why fishing games are in everything. I don't get it, but I don't hate them as much as you do. But I don't understand why they're everywhere. But we had a few people. They were all like.
I started following the Blue Sky account, Is There a Fishing Mini Game, which got recommended because of Beau's hatred of it.
It's a good channel.
And I started following that
it too,
account.
But I'm going to unfollow it. I really don't want to know. I really just don't want to know. I thought maybe I wanted to know about it, but I'd rather just ignore it.
You don't want to know when a new fishing game launches?
I don't need toxic content in my life.
Well, that's one way to avoid it, I guess. Don't follow accounts.
I hate fishing. I don't at the capital H, Scott's I hate tower defense. I hate fishing minigames. I hate them. I just hate them. Sorry, I can't be. Love to be an ambassador for video games and a positive teddy bear about everything, but I can't do it for fishing. It's terrible. It's just the worst.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, I think if I'm allowed to hate tower defense like I do, then I think you're 100% allowed to hate fishing games.
It's not like I'm not in control of the world. You can have your fishing mini games. Enjoy them, please. Don't let me stand in your way. But if we're talking about it, then I'm telling you, I don't like them. We're
going to talk today about a sequel that's happening that is essentially deck builder meets tower defense. Yet I love it. So I'm able to find weird exceptions. I wonder if there's some exception we're not thinking of where you're actually playing a fishing minigame, but you're not minding it because of the way it's implemented. You know what I mean?
Well, Beau has said he doesn't mind it if the purpose of the game is to fish. Not that he would play it, but
the key here is mini game, right? I imagine Dave the Diver is fishing it. I haven't tried it yet. I own it. It was gifted to me.
It does, but it's more like deep sea spear.
But it seems like the primary game loop. Yeah. It's the fishing mini game. I logged into Doom to shred people's faces off. Why am I standing here waiting for a progress bar to hover over a different bar and click to get perfect timing and then roll on a random loot table and never get the good shit for an hour? It's terrible. Log into World of Warcraft because I want to smash dudes, and it's if you want to cook this recipe, you need 10 fish. Good luck. Go get some fish, idiot. Hate it.
You know what's good fishing is that new I forgot the name of the Dreamhaven game that we played a little bit of. It's in very early access. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, the kind of cozy home builder, but also go out and play Hades style gameplay. What is that called?
Yeah, Linked, Banner of the Spark.
That's it. That game has some pretty good fishing because it doesn't make you wait around. You just see a fish and you use that thing to catch it. You just shoot at. Basically, you're just shooting a thing. It's like fish in a barrel. And you pull the fish in and you have the fish. You're not fighting with it. You're not waiting for it to pop or bite. You're not having to...
It's like a mining node, basically.
Yeah, it's more like just, a fish. Bam, I got a fish. You don't have to...
Herbalism, mining, wow, great. It's fine. I tink, 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 and I get the stuff. I just don't want a game. And I don't want it to take an hour.
Yeah. I'm with you. Tink, 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 get the stuff. I like that. That should be our life.
Yeah, there's a great mini game in Black Desert where you have to milk a cow, and there's 2 udders, and you have to press the buttons left or right in time to udder. Love it. Fishing, no thanks.
You like the udder one? I would hate that. That sounds awful.
Well, I liked it because it's hilarious and gross, right? Like that appeals to me. Like, it's obviously like, but that's what farming is with your hands. You gotta
farm. Yeah, you gotta grab the teat, work the teat.
Not a gentle squeeze. You gotta be working your wrist muscles on those.
That's right. I've milked a cow once. Have you ever done that? You ever milked a cow? You ever done that?
I actually haven't, and I feel I probably should have at one point.
I did it once. Here's the problem. They don't tell you this, and you never see this in movies and stuff. But when you pull down, if you get the rhythm right, and you actually are getting milk out of the end of the thing, it doesn't go straight down. It shoots off in weird directions, and so you have to like
when you take a piss at 3 a.m. and everything's kind of jumbled up.
Yeah,
it goes in the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my friend in junior high that could pinch himself in a certain way that he could pee in 2 urinals at once. It's like that.
Man, there's nothing that makes me more mad when that happens. I gotta fucking clean the wall. It's one of the most enraging things ever.
It happens to the best.
Yeah. But no. Like I like mini games. It's just look. I've done a ton of fishing in real life. Like I assume all the people that are like, oh man, don't be mad at fishing, haven't fished as much as me. It was a big thing when I was a kid, and I did it a ton. So It's boring in real life too. I'm a kid. I'm like, I want to go play with my trucks. It's like we're going fishing.
How about VR fishing? You do some
afternoon.
You do some VR fishing? Maybe that'd be.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no.
Okay.
No thanks.
All right. Yeah. I played a VR fishing game and liked it once. It was called Bait.
I mean, maybe spearfishing.
Yeah. Well, then you'll like Dave the Diver because it's mostly spearfishing in there.
Yeah. That seems fun.
Yeah.
I need to play some of that Subnautica. Anyways, we're I think we've beaten this fish dead.
Yeah, we've killed this fish. It will no longer.
But hopefully, you're not selling me on this generative AI stuff,
No, I don't think anybody's going to be sold on it. But I think there's value in the data, in the learning data. Like, I don't think them replicating. Like, I don't think John playing Balaltro and then suddenly this thing horks out a very ugly card game for him to play. I don't think that's the value in this. The value in this is how do people play games? How are games being designed to best adhere to players' wants, desires, and needs? Like, there's some value there. But the generative stuff, who gives a shit? I don't care about that. Even if it looked great, I'd be just like, ugh. I
think this, like, when I think of this, they're just like, it's just going to spit out a whole game on the fly. It just feels like, you're using a shovel to get a sliver out of your finger. Like why isn't it like, I bet you AI probably could make some really fantastic shaders that humans couldn't program themselves. Like apply it to like the pieces to enhance the game. Why is it just like, we're just going to do the whole thing as a big generative, here you go. Like,
well, that's my whole point. Forget the generative stuff. If they focus this, which is where I think they should, and I think they probably will, because that's the practical use case, you focus it on making the experiences better because you're learning how people use it, and you make your games better to adhere to the way people want to play. And you can do this so granularly. So we're talking about the learning model, not the output model here. I don't care 2 shits about the output model. Like, you'd have to...
I feel like that's well, anyways, whatever. We could talk about this all day. It's just, we've been big Blizzard fans over the years, and that whole perfecting the gameplay has always been a rotating door of conversation between the devs and their ideas and the player base and their ideas and their behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, it's not just, you can't just take anybody and put them in the game developer position and they'll come to the same conclusions or use that feedback or be a good dance partner. I just don't see a machine doing like, I just like to individual taste, like it people, I don't know, like it sounds like nonsense to me, I'm just like, I wouldn't want it, even if it was good at it. Like there's a vision and a crafted experience that's part of why we make these things. Like I don't need a personal video game masturbatory machine to like just make something just for me to make me happy. So I'll sit plugged into it all day. Like it makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense to my brain. I'm not sure how they're in meetings. They just must be talking at surface level about the technology and not actually thinking about the real nuts and bolts problems of like game design. Like it just seems so insane to me.
Well, we'll see what they do. Epic says $1 billion in game sales in 2024. You should see what the other guy's doing, though. You should see what Steam's doing.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, that's pretty good. I think $1 billion is still a big chunk of change. I think that firmly puts them in. If there is a ranking of online stores on PC that make lots of money, I think that puts them in second place. Where I don't know how far down the list. I know that's nothing compared to the revenue that Steam does, but that's more than I think GOG or anyone else does. So,
well, they have stuck it out. They haven't been a fly by night like other stores. I've been pretty harsh on the Epic Game Store over the course, of its existence, and I still don't love it. But I think like two things for me is like. So it does seem to be, they do seem to be in it for a long haul. They do seem to have that level of interest and I guess customer penetration into the market, but also like Sweeney's kind of interesting in this space with how he operates. Sometimes I'm like grown, and sometimes I'm like, oh man, this guy's like,
you talking about kind of Sweeney? Do you mean
Tim Sweeney? Like yeah. Because part of this story is his vision, and I think part of it was to like, I mean, it's good that Steam is what it is and is decent and stuff, but as a private company that owns the whole market, it isn't good for it to sit without any competition. So it's actually kind of good that it's there. Even
well, it's also funny because there was that LinkedIn story that came out. I had to look it up real quick from Ethan Evans, who was the former vice president of Prime Gaming at Amazon, where he just basically came out and was like, yeah, Amazon thought they were going to be able to compete with Steam because we had more money. And we were not able to, because it turns out it takes more than money to just topple something that people like and are intrinsically built into. And basically it laid out all the reasons you would think why Amazon couldn't come in and just immediately kick Steam to the curb.
Yeah.
Because people are already there. They're ingrained in it. It basically functions the way you want it to function. People feel like it's Steam in general is looking out for their best interests. They've kind of already gone through most of the things that a digital storefront can go through and have generally come out on the side of consumers and taking care of them. We've seen what happens when games get delisted, when things go away. It's still available to those who have already purchased it, So a lot of the questions that tend to come up with games ownership and stuff like that have already been addressed. I do think, we shouldn't say, well, it's Steam forever and no one should ever compete with them. I think competition is good. But I also don't think, I think that story was interesting because it was proof that it's not just a matter of, oh, but if we have more money, we can make a better storefront.
Yeah.
You need to tackle it from a lot of different angles, especially when the incumbent is doing everything seemingly correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of an Amazon thing to do though too. They did it with phones. I don't know if you guys remember what were they called? Flash phones, whatever the hell they were called. They were trying to compete with cell phones, smartphones. And it lasted exactly like 6 months. And they were like, oh, I guess this is harder to penetrate than we thought. We have all the money in the world. We can make phones and we can make a huge dent in the market. They didn't make any dent.
You're talking about Windows Phone?
No, Amazon had a phone for a hot minute.
I have no memory of this.
You don't remember their phones? They were called...
No, that's why I was like, you're talking about Windows Phone? That's why I asked, because I'm like, maybe it was America only as a trial market before it went global?
Well, they do. So I can't remember what they were called. Because Fire Phone, that's it. They were called Fire Phones.
Yeah.
They were doing okay with their tablets and stuff, their Android tablets. So they had their own fork of Android. They started selling phones. They tanked. They did not do well. And so they just backed out. But they have this like hubris over at Amazon sometimes where they just get like, well, we can get in there and do that. And sometimes they just take the dominant partner, which in this, like in Twitch's case, they just bought Twitch. and it was really the only competition in town for that outside of YouTube to whatever degree, and so that's one way of doing it. But them trying from the ground up to do it, they are often very less successful. They tried to do it with Prime Video to compete with Netflix, and while Prime Video is doing fine, it has evolved in a bunch of interesting ways. It never did even come close to toppling them, which is what they thought they were going to do. Yeah. So this is just Amazon does this. They're freaking.
I say that as somebody that really likes Prime Video.
I like Prime too a lot. You know what I have on a lot, John? They have this their live TV thing, and it's like all these channels, like classic TV, cartoons from the 80s.
They have a Transformers channel.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And if you're doing it on a PC and you have a ad blocker, it's amazing because you'll never get the ads that are usually associated with these things. So I will put that stuff on. I watch I focus on it, but I had on the background running like 4 episodes of Taxi, couple episodes of the old Hawaii Five-0 thing, Love Boat, all this stuff that was just on. I Love Lucy. And it was great. Super good time, I know they're not the only ones doing that stuff, but they are prominently doing it now. Anyway, sorry. To the point, though, Epic could, I guess, keep growing that and keep giving me free games, Epic. That's great. I do always go get them. And I now have a big backup library. If, like, Steam just took a giant dump and died and they were gone, I'd have all my free games over at Epic, and then China would truly own me because aren't they like 60% Tencent or something? Anyway, I like the Steam.
Well, long live China, I guess.
I like Valve because Valve is not a public company and they don't have the same pressures on them as public companies do. So I hope they.
I kind of feel like I sort of hope if there's anything dire that we could, or I think, should I do this now and just like have backups of my library, like drop 300 bones or whatever on a mini terabyte hard drive external and just back up my purchases.
I mean, that's part of what people are such big fans of GOG for, good old games, is because they just give you the files.
It's no DRM.
So you can do what you want. You don't have to worry about is their store going to be around or not.
Well,
you just have access to it.
Yeah. I think if you go to Steam apps, there's a file location you go to where all the installs.
Oh, they are, but they're DRM'd, so you can't run them without them checking in with Steam to make sure you can run them. So that's the problem.
I guess like if Steam goes out, maybe there'll be a scene for breaking that DRM.
Oh, guaranteed.
For cracking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, life finds a way every time. It's not a bad idea, though. Backup. I have 2,600 games, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's kind of an undertaking. And, I do I back them up now? Because they get updated a lot. So also it's like.
Yeah. I think at this point in 2025, I feel like, and I don't want to court disaster or anything, and this might age terribly, but I feel like if Steam was on its way out to where we were really needing to worry about backing up all our games right now because Steam is going away, I think we would have more things to worry about than our video game library.
Probably, yeah.
It probably will outlast us. Like, I assume Steam won't go public until Gabe passes, which, whenever that is, could be decades, who knows. And then whoever's left will take a cash out at some point, probably.
I hope what happens, I hope he puts into some hard contract that says Valve can never go public. I would love that. Yeah. Stick it to the corpo man, dude. Yeah, like they're a big multi-billion-dollar company, but they're just not beholden to all the problems you run into with public companies with perpetual growth and everything else.
They find ways around that, so they'll remain always not public, but a public corporation will own the private entity. So you know what I mean? There's probably ways to get around it.
No, I hope not, but you're probably right.
It's like breaking DRM, but business style.
Yeah, yeah, business DRM hacking.
It's the reason that comes to mind is just following the whole like chain of like companies that are nonprofits and profits with respect to OpenAI. Right? I was like watching a video on it, and it's like OpenAI is nonprofit, but the company that owns it is for profit. And something. I don't know how it all works. It's very confusing.
They're trying to Sam Altman would like all that nonprofit stuff to go away because it's no longer viable for them. So
I guess.
It wouldn't surprise me. Like I liked the idea that there was an open foundation that was working on the future of AI. And then they all went, wait a minute, there's too much money to be made and also to control. And so we can't do that. Like I get why they did the pivot, but it's a bummer that they did. We'll see.
I don't. I think it depends if you think your thing's just interesting or really important for humanity that has that.
Oh no, they just think it's worth a ton of money. They don't care
cancer
about the
research is
humanity.
pretty important, but it's like no one's like doing these weird financial moves to speed up the discovery of like how to cure cancer.
No, they just want, dude. We live in Horde
like
Town.
AI,
It's
so
Horde
smart.
Town. It's Horde Town, USA, right now. Everybody get theirs. F everybody else. All right, John. I found finally a way in an entry hole into the Magic the Gathering universe for John.
Yeah. Please tell me more about the entry hole.
Do you want to know more about the entry hole? Because I got stuff to say about the hole of entry.
Yeah, let me hear.
Entry hole.
Yeah.
Let me hear about it.
Okay.
Let's hear about it.
Here's what's going on. You know, they've had a lot of like crossover lately. Lord of the Rings, other stuff's made its way over to the MTG world.
MTG Magic the Gathering, you mean?
Yes, Magic the Gathering. Now, what if I told you the Magic the Gathering was getting a Final Fantasy set? What would you say to that?
I'd say we've talked about it before, but I see that it's a new news topic today, so I will pretend to not know about it and go, what?
55 legendary characters will be featured on collectible borderless cards. That includes everything from the original OG stuff all the way up to those cactuses you fight out in the world.
Cactars.
Yeah, cactars, that's it. Oh, there's one right there. Jumbo cactar.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I think this is great. I Magic the Gathering is one of those, there's many nerdy things out there, and I have experimented and sometimes started serious relationships with many of them.
Yeah.
But Magic the Gathering is a boat that completely missed me, and I was always a little sad about it because it's one of those things. People talk about it with such enthusiasm and passion, and I've never owned a single Magic the Gathering card. I don't know how to play it.
Yeah.
I bought one of the video games at some point, but never played it. And so it's a boat I completely missed. This is easily the most interested I've ever been in it, but I also know nothing about Magic the Gathering, so I don't know where to begin. I don't know what I would get. I don't know what I would do. But I look at the cards and I go, I like all these things. They've put a lot of things on cards that I like.
Like Lady Y'shtola here. Night Blessed.
Yeah. I like my favorite thing. It says Cat Warlock.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Is that what she is?
That's the creature type.
Okay.
That is not at all what I would describe her as, but Cat Warlock is fantastic.
All right.
Usually on that line, it'll say what type of card it is, like instant, sorcery, enchantment, or creature.
So
the fact that it's legendary means you can only have one copy of it and play at a time. If you have more than one copy, you have to remove one. The other things, the cat and the warlock, sometimes you have cards that say other cats get +1/+1 or something. Like it's just a keyword matters. Yeah. I'm a magic expert. I'll tell you all that you need to know. And I've downloaded Arena because I'm honestly, this set that just came out and the Final Fantasy set, I think it's because I'm playing Final Fantasy Rebirth now. It's just kind of low key appealing.
Got you in the mood,
It's kind of working. It's like,
yeah.
And I didn't love the crossover stuff, but honestly, I'm looking at the art and I'm like, whatever. It's a fantasy realm. That's what Planeswalking is, anyways. It doesn't matter who gives a shit. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So
here's Titus.
Yeah.
Titus, by the way, I wish his ability. Titus.
Titus.
I wish it wasn't cheer. I wish it was laugh. That's what that should be.
I think cheer is supposed to invoke the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like the fanfare.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
Maybe.
He's also a blitzball champion,
That's true. That's true. He's a handsome,
good at the blitzball.
Handsome boy.
But here he's Yuna's guardian.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But I wonder who the Planeswalkers are going to be in Final Fantasy.
Oh, you know what I love? Look at this.
A Sephiroth Planeswalker card. Oh, baby.
That's what I was going to just show you. So look at this Sephiroth
look
one.
at that.
Now, I love that it's
not a Planeswalker card, but it still looks cool.
But it's
It
Sephiroth.
says planet's air, but it could just as easily be planet's hair.
Exactly. It should be hair. Because look at the hair. Look at that.
Look at it.
I mean, just There's no way that sword isn't caught in that hair right now. There's no way. He's a human avatar
the
soldier.
That's been pretty good.
Yeah. That's pretty good. This is the end for all of you, he says.
But if you want a tutorial, it's free. Download Arena. It's like the Hearthstone. There's two versions of online Magic. There's Magic Online, which is you're not ready for, and there's Arena, which is just like Hearthstone, which will just give you like a tutorial. Like there's just a tutorial. MidGo won't have a tutorial, I don't think, in it, and it's crappy. But it's the better version, even though it's the crappy experience. You want the customer-friendly one. Just download Arena.
Does it have fishing? Okay. Is there any fishing? In the
actually, that's what started this whole thing. There is a fishing mini game in the Final Fantasy set.
Oh Lord!
There's a card. I didn't look at the mechanics, but that's how it got linked to me. And someone said, "Hey, look, I think I was just trolling articles, and PC Gamer was like, "There's a fishing mini game in Final Fantasy," and I was like, "Oh my god!" But like, I appreciated it because obviously it's not fishing. Like, it's not a full-on mini game. It's like a mechanic as part of Magic, but I still thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They're going after
it. Does have fishing mini game, but I will let it slide.
Does it feature a card with who's the big guy in 7? What's wrong with my brain today?
Barrett.
Is Barrett in like a little sailor boy outfit?
Can you hear the world crying out in pain?
That's right.
Of course you can.
I love Barrett so much.
I love him too, but I want him in that stupid little suit that John showed us. And
his sailor outfit. Yeah, his sailor outfit's so good.
It's pretty bad.
He hates it when he first gets it, and then he ends up loving it, and now he's all about it. And that's exactly how I felt about it. I saw him in it, I was like, what have they done?
Yeah.
What did they do this to my boy? And then I was like, as he wore it more, I was like, you know what? This sailor outfit's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
his gun hand gets replaced with a hook.
Oh my gosh,
like,
really?
It's quality.
How do you fight with that then? Does he melee or he just shoots when he
he's mostly, I mean, he puts the gun on for fighting, but this is when you're hanging out around a ship.
Yeah, like you're doing maritime stuff, so you got a hook. I get it.
Yeah, it's having a card tournament on a ship. Would be a good time to wear that outfit with a hook.
Well, I like Barrett a lot, so you'll get no complaints from me.
Also, just on another note too, the current Magic set is a Speed Racer, but Magic World style theme, and I love it.
Speed Racer, like the anime?
Like picture like any of those. What's that Hanna-Barbera racing cartoon? Like a racing derby,
like Wacky Racers or whatever.
Yeah. But it's like magic. It's like wizards and spells.
Is John Goodman in it? No.
And I'm like, that's like I don't think there's a movie, right? There's no racing movie that's also everyone's a magician. So it's like pod racing, but everyone's casting fireballs and shit at each other. And I'm like, that's awesome.
It's like cars. Cars are like futuristic.
Yeah. There's like there's mounts and vehicles, and you put your creatures into vehicles and go to combat.
At some point, does the MTG fan base ever call foul, like shark jumping foul on anything, or is it just whatever?
I think a lot of the crossover stuff, especially with just the collector stuff, people were pretty mad at. Like, there's definitely the diehards, but the thing that made me revise all of this was coming this year at some point in 2025. There's going to be a standard legal Spider-Man Magic the Gathering set.
Oh, John, they've got you now.
And when I heard
they got me again. It's happening again.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, the Fortnitification of freaking Magic. I hate it. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, the whole basis of the Magic game is that it's two wizards slinging spells, and part of the conceit to making new sets is your planeswalkers. So you teleport to other planes of existence, other planets, other worlds. That's how they keep generating new ideas and for sets in their own realm. And I'm like, well, if Doctor Strange went into the Magic realm, it would not be weird. And I'm like, Spider-Man, right? It would just be like, they do magic shit in Marvel too. Why not? And the Baldur's, they had a Dungeons and Dragons Lord of the Rings set, and that felt, okay, weird magical worlds with gates. Why not? And I'm like, well, Spider-Man kind of is like that, where it's like, yeah, he's a sciencey guy, but Spider-Man's like the guy who'd figure out how to cast a Doctor Strange spell, with a blueprint, like some weird science. And I'm like, actually, this really works because there's always multi-dimensional shit with Spider-Man. That's like, and I'm like, oh yeah, like a set's gonna make sense. He's gonna go into some weird multiverse with 5,000 different variations of Spider-Man. Why not make that a set of Magic cards? So I am.
He's also doing magic right now in the Marvel comics at the moment. Doctor Doom gave him a magic inspired costume that lets him cast spells, and he's having to fight a bunch of the children of Sidorak, and he's getting killed by them repeatedly.
I didn't know Doom and Spider-Man ever had any interactions.
Doom is currently the Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh shit! I've missed a lot in the comics then.
A lot's been going on.
I did not know that.
A lot's happened.
That's wild.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that even further reinforces the point of like, yeah, Spider-Man is kind of like in the magic realm as much as he is like a science guy.
True,
and
that's true. And Spider-Verse stuff already lends itself to,
and that kind of opened my mind up to being like, you know what? Bring it on. Bring on the crossovers. If they like, if they make sense, if they're good, like, I don't know necessarily want to see a standard Transformers set per se, although there's an argument that can make sense.
Yeah,
too.
It's just as much sense as Spider-Man. Do it.
I mean, they have like they have Warhammer, but like Warhammer, it's like siphoned off. It's like a collector's thing. It's not part of like the standard legal game. It's just something you buy that looks cool. That's cloistered on its own. But they did a Doctor Who Commander set, and I'm like, yeah, Time Lord doing wibbly wobbly things, like, sure. And I'm like, so I've kind of come around on these commercial crossovers as like actually kind of, I think they've been handling them well, and I think they're probably okay. Yeah. And so and Final Fantasy was the first one I looked at and went, yeah, I'd play Final Fantasy Magic. I want to tap Tifa to attack with her big fist.
There's
tap
definitely words in that sentence I agreed with.
Yeah. Tap and Tifa. You can search. You can.
No,
Google.
I meant attack with. What did you?
Oh,
yeah,
you
didn't. You tap cards to attack.
Yeah, you do. You do tap Tifa.
So I tap Tifa because I'm coming at your face with two big fists.
Oh gosh, none of that sounded good. Everything you said sounded bad to me. Sexual. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's fine. It's all right. It's a me thing. Hey, one final note in the news. Monster Train, one of my favorite card battlers of all time. I love Monster Train to death. Love that game. They're getting a sequel. This came out of nowhere. Dropped a demo and everything. I've been rejoicing since. Just found out about it yesterday. There's a trailer. Looks like a whole lot more of what we love about the first Monster Train, and I am here for it. So bring it on, Monster Train. You're coming out.
That was a really good one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they've gotten better.
Yeah, what are they actually going to do to improve it? I mean, this is a hell of a year for deck builders. You got this, you have Slay the Spire 2 coming out. Like, you guys are going to be eating well this year on this.
Slay the Spire is the Vampire Survivors of those single player card deck builder games.
Yep.
John's always like, yeah, Vampire Survivors, that's
yeah,
bad artwork and all. Slay the Spire is the one that goes down the best. So
that's true. Let's see. We don't have a date. It just says sometime in 2025, but I'm very excited about this game.
Yeah. But we do have a date. I just popped this in really quick for a game I'm really looking forward to, which is Dune Awakening.
Yeah, dude.
May 20th. Yeah. I really want this Dune game to be good. It looks like it has stiff animations, like we're not cutting edge AAA here. But these guys are the guys that did Conan Exiles. They're not, it's not their first rodeo. And I like the Dune world, and I like what I heard about the game, so I just really hope it's good. Like, obviously, if it's not good, I'm not going to be playing it. I want it to be good, and I want to play it a lot.
Yeah, so this is May 20th is the date. PC. They haven't talked about any other platforms.
I am seeing comments that the beta test has been pretty janky, so,
Oh, really?
Expectations in check.
That's bumming me. That bums me out a little bit, but I also have heard that people are pretty jazzed about the systems. I guess you just need to polish that thing.
Yeah, it might be the kind of thing where, if people like it and they keep working on it, it gets good. I mean, remember, a lot of games, we're beta testers for at launch, and that's
the time we live in.
Just what it is, but there's just enough cool shit. Like, I just love the in-lore accuracy, right? You activate a shield, you'll attract a worm. So if you're in PvP and you turn your shield on, well, you're going to crash a worm on everyone's head. Like, just those ideas are like, I don't know, they matter to like a franchise like this, I think.
Yep. I'm excited because I'm a huge Dune fan as a backdrop. I love the movies. I love the books. I love everything about the world.
And it's like it's multiplayer, man. It's like I'm really big on Valheim. I'm playing V Rising. It's another one of those games. You have a safe zone where you build your base. You go out to the unsafe zone for PvP to build harvesters. And everything, there's no clans that are going to like have a chokehold on the PvP zone because everything gets reset by a sandstorm every week. So you got to go out and build new buildings.
Yeah.
And you know, and which means if you don't play for a week, no big deal. You're also not falling behind. Like everyone goes out to the dangerous desert to like engage in this like kind of mini EVE Online sort of deal.
Yeah.
But it's Dune, not EVE Online. It's not spreadsheets online. Like, so I just like a lot of what I heard about this sounds like it could just have a lot of the right stuff to be a really like compelling game, and we get a core server up so we can bring a whole bunch of our Fremen, or whatever clan we're going to be. Yeah. And, you know, terrorize the dunes, man.
What are we going to call her? If we did that, we should have a good name, like the core, the worm.
Oh, no, wait, let's not do that.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. No, that's
CUNE. It was CUNE. I was just taking the D on Dune and replacing it with the C.
Yeah.
In retrospect, not a great choice.
Yeah.
It took saying it out loud to realize it was a bad idea.
That's when I almost named my son Nick, and we almost named him Harry.
You might want to mark that one and just take it out. I feel really bad.
You shouldn't feel bad. We almost named my son Harry. He was almost Harry Johnson, so I understand this kind of thing. We really did. It's this close.
It was really unintended, but you know, like Core Within is our raid team because it's a pun. So I was just trying to make a pun, and it turned out way worse than I intended it to.
Well, we can find one like Caracas. No, that's not good. Something with spice.
Or corn. No, why corn? I don't even know why.
Why corn?
Well, core is CORE, and I changed the last letter to N for no reason.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was asking because I couldn't figure it out.
I would just stick with core until we find a good pun. We'll leave it to our listeners to use the voicemail app to send in their good ones.
Yeah. Let us know because we clearly have bad ideas here on the show.
Like Harkonnen. Instead of Harkonnen.
Oh, I see. That's not bad. What's another one? Like, hey.
It's still got corn in it. It's still not great.
When did I eat corn? All right. Let's get to the break. When we come back, you're going to spend some time with Dear Martha.
Fury Road.
Fury, whose idea was that? Is that a chat person?
That's Tondagosa. Tondagosa's trying to get brownie points with you. He knows.
That's not bad. He knows where I eat. When we get back from this break, we're going to have a little Dear Martha time. We're going to have some fun with that, of course. And, of course, more discussion, including the games we played this week, some of your feedback, and more. So we'll get right around to that in a second. Until then, go take a break, and we'll be right back. And we're back, everybody. We're back. Yes, that's right. And that means time for Dear Martha. John's got a little something cooking here. John, you want to explain the rules of today's Dear Martha?
Yeah, today we are doing another game show because we're having a good time with that. At least I am. You guys seem to.
Yeah, I love it.
No, I'm enjoying it.
So I hope you at home are enjoying it as well. So here's what we're going to do. We're playing Guess the Game again. I'm going to read a negative review, Dear Martha letter that does a bad job of describing a video game.
Okay.
You guys need to guess what video game it is I'm talking about based on the context clues of that letter. And last week you won. You had a victory. So
Chad had a victory, right?
Yeah.
You gave it to
no, that was the week before. I think Scott had a legitimate win with Kid Icarus last week.
Oh, I did. That's right.
Oh, he did. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
I forgot also. I lose so often, I forgot I won. That's great.
I've made it harder. I'm not giving you multiple choice, and it could be from Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis.
All right. 16-bit era. Here we go. Love it.
So it's a lot of options. Chat, feel free to play along. Sometimes the chat helps everybody. We'll see how it does. So when you're ready, I can Dear Martha it up.
Here we go.
My dearest Martha, even though we live in an age of good games with good graphics like Call of Duty and Call of Duty 2, I've decided to revisit some of these so-called classics from older video game systems like the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Even though it was a stupid time, before graphics got really good like they would in Call of Duty 3. Anyway, I tried a game that came highly recommended. And I don't get it, Martha. For some reason, it has a story, I guess. I didn't want to read much, but here's what I think the game was about. You are basically this guy who, loses his last legal guardian and decides that means he needs to be a hero. So he tries to find some chicks, but just ends up finding out the world sucks and he's actually a furry. Anyway, that's where I stopped because I don't like when games insert weird subliminal real-world furry messaging into games. Unlike good games, like Call of Duty 4. Yours in this life and the next, Looney Tunes 420.
Okay. This is going to be hard. I'm trying to pull out the stuff that jumps out at me. We're talking 16-bit. He thinks he's actually a furry. These are the key elements, Beau. What else?
Tried a game, came highly recommended.
Loses his last legal guardian.
It has a story. I don't want to.
The letter is in the show notes.
Legal guardian.
Yeah, the letter's in the show notes.
He loses his last legal guardian, decides it means he needs to be a hero. But just ends up finding out the world sucks. That's so
And he's actually a furry. That's key.
So that probably just means he transforms into a beast somehow.
Yeah, that's my take too.
It's kind of it's not that he's actually that.
Yeah, it's not the lifestyle choice. It's the.
So what games have people that transform into animals?
I'm thinking of a game on the GameCube that had a.
Well, Super Nintendo.
But this is SNES and Genesis
or Sega Gen. And finding out the world sucks. That's so
all this Call of Duty stuff, is that a hint? Can you tell us?
I don't know. The context clues could be anywhere in the letter.
I don't like when games insert weird subliminal real world furry messaging. So I've seen some Altered Beast in the chat. It seems like too much for Altered Beast. I think you're just a wolf man, no?
Yeah, you do turn into him. And that kind of is the furry part, but I don't know about the final.
You find out the world sucks. That's the one.
Or you lose your last legal guardian. Whose was his guardian? All right.
Right. So I feel like legal guardian means adoptive parental figure.
All right. Chat.
And I just don't know the story of Altered Beast enough to bring that up.
Echo the Dolphin, Altered Beast, Animorphs. Someone said Bloody Roar. That's later. That's not 16-bit. Oh, man. I like Altered Beast as an answer because it's fun.
Yours in this life and the next, Looney Tunes. Maybe there's a hint in... See how it says Looney Tunes?
Yeah.
Is there a Bugs Bunny game? But I guess you don't turn into a furry.
All right, so he spelled Looney Tunes, L-O-U, like Lou, N-E-E, and then Tunes 420. Lou.
Last of Us.
Shit. I give up. I'm going to say...
I feel like this one's hard, but I feel like as soon as John explains the hints, we're going to feel like giant idiots.
Yeah. I'm going to... You know what? I'm going to go with the chat. Most of them are saying Altered Beast. I'm going to say it's Altered Beast. Beau, do you have a different answer?
You're going with Altered Beast?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm just going with what my instinct says, even though it's probably 1,000% wrong. It's a game Earthbound.
Oh, maybe? Earthbound. Yeah, it's a SNES game. Well, originally.
But I'm sure it's not wrong. It's just what my brain keeps going back to. So let's try it.
All right. Earthbound or Altered Beast. We got a Nintendo and a Sega title for you there, John.
Well, I have a congratulations this week.
Oh, shit.
A big congratulations to the chat room. Everybody who said A Link to the Past.
Ow!
The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past was the game this week. And I will say, in A Link to the Past, the game begins with your uncle leaving the house. You then follow him out into a rainstorm. Your uncle dies and passes on the sword to you. You then go on a quest to rescue multiple different ladies who are trapped in crystals, only to be pulled into the dark world where Link appears as a bunny rabbit.
I don't remember that bunny rabbit part. I played that game like
a big
twice.
pink anthropomorphic bunny rabbit, man.
Was it a big part of the game? Like a long part or just a quick?
You had to figure out how to not turn into a bunny in the dark world because you couldn't fight in the dark world.
Ah, crap. Who won that? Who got that first?
I saw Rhino Kenny really campaigning for it in the chat. I don't know if he was the first, but Rhino Kenny certainly seems like...
He feels like a guy that would know.
Yeah. I think that was the first. I think that was the first person to really go with it.
Congratulations.
I played the game and don't remember the bunny, but I'm looking at video of it now, and I'm like, well, there it is.
Oh, really? See, I don't remember that at all. Link Bunny. Let's see.
Link Bunny.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. I don't remember that. Did I block that out?
Yeah. I think it's just part of the game. You don't like, you think of all the fun things playing that game, and you just don't think of that.
Yeah.
Was it his grandpa? It wasn't his uncle? I thought it was his uncle that died. It might have been his grandpa. Either way, his guardian was not
legal
his
guardians.
dad.
Yeah,
it's all interchangeable. It's all interchangeable.
I think your parents are. Well, maybe they're not your legal guardian. I don't know.
Your parents are, but usually the term means someone other than your parents who have legal custody of you. But until they're gone, you do have them. Well, that was awesome. You stumped the hell out of me and John and Beau. I mean, John didn't stump himself.
Jeez, that was.
Yeah. While we were sitting here, we got a call. Let's see what this is real quick. We're going to test out the system here. This is from Sean. It looks like.
Sick.
Hey, Core. This is Sean Obi from the Core Within Raid team. Just wanted to say hi on the new VoiceCast app and start a petition to change the name to 10hams.com. Thanks.
Well, good luck with that. Maybe it'll happen. 10hams.com.
You need to go to petitions.com to do a petition.
That was great. Thank you for that. But voicecast.app/core. That's where you send that. And we like getting these, so keep them coming. That's great. Thank you, Sean, for that. All right.
He plays a demon hunter.
Indeed. Let's get to what we played this week, because turns out there are games. All right. Let's start with the shared play. John and I played a bunch of Avowed. John a whole lot more than me because he started early. He got the early access. I did not. I waited till launch day. And we're going to talk about it. You know what? I'll throw it to John first because I'm really curious about how far you are and what's changed since we last talked, because we did talk about it a little bit last week. But
I'd barely gotten into it last week, and I was like, this game seems all right. I really love Avowed. Yeah. I am kind of shocked how much I like this game. I didn't expect, and it's so funny when we first saw the previews for it. My big takeaway when we watched the trailer, I don't know when they first showed it off, but if you can find our reaction to it, I think I said it. Scott was immediately like, Obsidian RPG, I'm in.
Yep.
I think my reaction was, boy, the combat in this looks terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised to say that the combat in this is awesome.
It's exceptionally good. It's so good. It's like the best thing in the game, the combat. Because I remember when you said that and I went, yeah, he's right. It's a little floaty. Everything feels a little papery. I don't know if this is going to win me over in the combat department. And they're not known for their first-person melee combat or, that sort of thing. And my gosh, it's good.
Yeah, well, apparently they agreed because at the time it was very floaty, and apparently they came out multiple times over the course of development to say we're looking for ways to give combat more oomph and heft so it feels like you're making contact and that it actually has impact, and they really did. They've created a game that I don't think this game is trying to be the next Skyrim, and I've seen some people take shots at this game because this is a game that for reasons I don't know, I genuinely don't know what all the controversy is, but it seems like it's one of those games that's getting a little dogpiled for outside of what the game actually contains reasons, and that's fine. People can dislike a game for whatever reason. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I have seen some comparisons to like, well, look at it compared to like an Elder Scrolls title. And I don't think this game is trying to be an Elder Scrolls game. I think that it has rolled back a lot of systems that exist in Elder Scrolls games in favor of making something a little less in the simulation, like fantasy simulation type world, to be a little more arcadey and fast-paced and fun. And I really like that. But the one thing that I will say is that I hope Bethesda is paying attention to this game for one key reason. Because if the next Elder Scrolls game combat does not feel comparable to this, it will be a huge step backwards.
It would be a game. It would be a decision-making move against that game if it doesn't play at least as well as this. And I'm not saying it needs to play exactly like this, but if I'm going to swing a sword in a first-person or even third-person RPG like this, it needs to feel like I have made contact with that thing, that it felt like it sunk into their flesh, that there was like stopping power to the creature I'm hitting. The stuff this makes you feel like when you're fighting is so well done that I'm with you 100%. I can't go the other way. I can't go back.
It's very, very hard to go back from it. So I think the other thing this game does insanely well, besides shockingly good combat for this type of game, again, just to clarify, we're talking about a game that's in the same vein of an RPG, like an Elder Scrolls title or something like that. You're not playing Devil May Cry. Like, I'm saying the combat is very good. That doesn't mean that this is a action. And even though you can do third person in this game, it's not like a third person action game. Like, we're still talking about combat within a first person, generally like RPG, but it's surprisingly good. It feels like the same kind of step up from when, Mass Effect went from, it's got shooting in it and it's good enough, to like Mass Effect 2, where it's like, oh, this is actually kind of a like solid third person shooter to a degree.
Yeah.
It feels like that same sort of thing. The other thing I really love about it is the leveling up. Like the ability tree is full of stuff I want to take.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I look at it and to me, I know I'm dealing with a good RPG system when I level up and I feel like burdened by choice because everything sounds cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, it does still have things like, 3 levels of your sword hits are stronger, and that's always nice. But it throws in a lot of nice flashy things too, like slowing time with a bow, special moves you can do. If you go down the casting tree and you learn a spell that you also have through a spell book, you get a level 2 version of that spell. A lot of stuff like that is really nice. And some of it, a lot of the systems and stuff have been kind of simplified, and that's why I say I don't feel like this game is trying to be an Elder Scrolls game, so I don't think people should go into it expecting that level of depth. It feels a little more arcadey than that. A good example of that is like lock picking.
Mm-hmm.
In this, you go up to a lock that's locked, which is not often. There's actually not a lot of these in the game. And it tells you how many lock picks it's going to cost to break the lock. And you press a button and it does it. There's no mini game. There's no leveling up a skill to get better at it. Like, that system is removed because it's just not a high priority in this particular game. And I think that's fine. Like, as long as the game's not built for it and they removed it, to me, it all still really works. The other big thing that's important in an RPG that we got to talk about, and this is maybe where my one criticism, my biggest criticism of the game comes in, is obviously with it being a role-playing game, story is very important. And this game actually feels, in terms of story, the inverse of Dragon Age Veilguard. Dragon Age Veilguard, I was very critical of the story, feeling, really, I said you felt like a therapist through the entire thing, but that the overall big meta narrative was pretty decent for that game. This game, I feel like it's the other way. I, for whatever reason, don't particularly care about the overall big story that's happening. I don't think they've done a very good job of selling me on caring about it. but a lot of the little individual stories I've been very invested in and found really compelling and interesting. So I tend to really like the little things that I'm doing. I've actually had more fun doing side quests, and then it's like, yeah, I guess I should progress the story to the next area, sure. But I'm having most of my fun in the game is coming from doing side quests and exploring the world. This is an awesome game if you like exploring the world. Everywhere you go, it feels like there's something to see and do.
There's a cave, and you're like, look at the cave. I want to go in that cave. There's a lot of that.
It's very packed.
Yeah.
And like, solved a puzzle, here's a chest. It doesn't have the most insane amount of loot, but it walks a fine line of the way the crafting system powers you up and the way you get power from items being more important than even level means that even when you're picking up junk, you feel good about it. So, like, you go and you find a treasure chest. It's not always the most exciting thing in the world, but it's not so unexciting that you're unhappy that you did it. So it's this weird middle ground of like, sometimes you find a cool, like, legendary type item and that's, or a unique item. That's really nice. But a lot of times it's just like, oh, I found a lot of mats, but I'm going to use those because I'm going to make that really cool item I found better. And that's actually where a lot of your player power comes from. Like, you want to constantly be upgrading your gear, because that's what allows you. This game actually, it scales to gear. It doesn't, and it's not even scales. Enemies have a gear tier level, and your gear, if it's below it, you will take more damage and do less damage.
Right.
So you have to get your gear in parity to what you're fighting. So it's kind of a constant little chase with that, and that's why it's so important to get crafting mats or even items to just break down to make more mats. It's not an insanely deep crafting system. Like, you don't really have to worry that much about it. It's fairly quick and easy, but that is where a lot of your power comes from. All this is to say, though, I cannot stop playing this game. It really just hit me, and it has stuck with me, and it has been all I've wanted to do. Even though I'm really deep in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, even though I've been playing a ton of... I was playing a lot of Civilization 7. I've been all in on a bunch of video games lately. This game just immediately came in and was like, forget it. You're not going to be playing any of those right now. You're just going to be playing Avowed right now.
Having a very similar experience. I didn't... Oh, go ahead, Beau. Go ahead.
I was going to say, even over Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I'm like kicking myself saying, oh, I got to get back to it. But all I want to do is just keep running around in Avowed. I'm just really enjoying that world and that gameplay. I mean, part of the thing that's cool is you suddenly realize, oh, I have the freedom to play my character how I want. Like, originally, you kind of get through the tutorial and it's like, all right, I'm going to probably be a little dexterous because that's how I tend to play these. So I guess I'll do 2 daggers. And I was running around with 2 daggers poking things because that's what I do. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Why am I doing this? Like, I can put whatever I want in my hands and I can have 2 loadouts. Like,
yeah, you're not restricted.
I'm gonna put a pistol in one hand and I'm gonna put a sword in the other. And that's what I'm gonna run around as. And it feels like the game was designed for that.
Yeah.
Even though, but it doesn't have to be. I watch other people play 2-handed swords, 2-handed, maces, different weapons, magic builds. Magic seems pretty cool in the game. There's people doing archery and stuff like that. But I was immediately drawn to pistol in one hand, sword in the other, and I was like, this feels awesome. I'm gonna stick with this, and that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's really good at that. I would add, you've said a lot of stuff I completely agree with. The one thing that's helped me story-wise and care more about the overarching story is realizing, and I didn't know this till I started playing, that this is a continuation of Obsidian's world that they established in Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. This is that world. And I didn't know that going in. I thought Avowed was like it's a whole new thing, whole new space, whole new lore. And having it tied to that has added a bunch to it, because I played those two games and loved them. And this is, so now I'm getting references and things that I'm like, oh yeah, right, that's in Pillars 2. And I know this character. I've talked to this guy before. These kinds of things start popping up, and I really like that aspect of it. So the story thing has been actually a little better for me in terms of just the overall. I'll agree with you. The moment-to-moment stuff, especially side quests, are really well done. And we haven't even mentioned it yet, but Brandon Keener, the voice of Garrus, is in this. He plays a character called Kai. You get him early. In fact, he's the first companion you get.
Yeah.
And I love having him around. I love listening to him say anything, really. I'm a real sucker for it. This was him at the top of the show today.
That sounds ominous.
It was an early thing he said, but he's basically Garrus the Fishman.
Yeah,
and,
he's kind of the same character to a degree.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's bad. In fact, I'm perfectly fine with it because I really like him.
I think it works to the game's benefit. So.
I agree. It really does. And I didn't know about that going in either. I didn't know any of these things when I first fired it up. So these are all nice surprises. I found a document or like a scroll that had the term or said something, Pillars of Eternity something. And I'm like, oh, look at them making a funny little reference. And then I went, wait a minute, is this that world? And then sure enough, it was. The only other stuff I would tack on top of this, because what you said is absolutely true, but one of the things about Skyrim that drove me slightly crazy is the game wants you to pick everything up and put it in your inventory. So there's a pot and a pan, there's a big wheel of cheese, there's a bunch of shit on the floor. I'm going to put it all in my inventory, and boy, my inventory sure filled up fast. I guess I better cheat and do a mod that lets me have unlimited inventory. And this game doesn't get bogged down in that. It doesn't want you to feel like everything should be in your inventory, because really everything shouldn't be. It's just kind of a waste of time, and you never feel like you don't have enough space. I always feel like
for one thing, this game does another smart thing. Like, that's a lot of stuff that's in, and that's why I say it's just, to me, people that are making one-to-one comparisons to Elder Scrolls are weird, because I don't feel like it's trying to be, but it does strip down a lot of that stuff. The only items in this game that have a weight are your weapons and armor. Yep. Like, that's it. You can carry as much food as you want. Yep. You can carry as much crafting mats as you want, as many lockpicks as you want, as many potions as you want, as many and it's not even all your armor, it's just your chest armor.
Right.
You can carry as many boots and gloves as you want. And the chest plates and weapons, like, you should be breaking those down for mats anyway. In fact, I kind of feel like that's the only reason the weight limit exists, is to tell you, like, hey, don't just hoard your stuff.
Yeah.
Just use it.
Yeah.
Or break it down. Either use it as a weapon or break it down.
I also like the pacing of the breaking it down and the using it and the crafting, because it's usually happening inside your camps. And camps are a lot like Rest in Baldur's Gate, where there's these big crystals around the world. You hit them and it turns that area into a camp, and now it's nighttime. This is a chance for you to go talk to your NPCs, talk to Kai, see what he's doing. A lot of conversations happen in there. Supposedly some romancing. I haven't gotten to any of that, but apparently there's some hidden romance shit going on. So John will probably find that way before I do, because he always does. I don't know what that means. But anyway, you go around and you've got now stations. Here's your crafting station. Here's your alchemy station, so on and so forth. And it's just a great place for the general downtime of improve yourself while you're here, instead of being distracted out in the world all the time with it. And I think it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling of pacing, that this is where I fix myself up and this is where I do other stuff. It's generous with points of fast travel, which I really appreciate. To me, this is doing to the Skyrim formula what Outer Worlds 1 did for the Fallout formula. And that is, if maybe it went a little too far with Outer Worlds 1, because it really had simplified maps. It was less open world. And I think that was a detriment to that game, even though I loved it and played it twice. And I'm really looking forward to the next one. This feels like them fixing that aspect of it, but retaining like how easy the systems are to use, not getting bogged down in its own, smelling its own farts, like just really just giving you a streamlined game, but still having the meaty stuff. Like, the world itself is massive. And like John says, every corner there's like, what's that hole over there? I'm going to go look. That aspect of Skyrim is here and alive. which is discovery. And I'm going to find some weird little bitty story inside of a crevice that I otherwise don't even have to touch in this game, but I'm going to go in there. That kind of stuff's here in spades. And I love that. Basically, it's my game of the year until someone shows me something better. That's where I'm at. I love it that much.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things that this game does suffer a little bit from the bar being raised by games like Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
I will say that there is a feeling in role-playing games that games like Baldur's Gate 3 have put in my brain that these games don't live up to, which is, I'll give you an example very early on, kind of a nothing quest. There's a woman who says that a bunch of these lizard baddies have taken over her house, and she wants you to get rid of them. And you go there, and you find out that one of these lizards was trying to be a friend and was trying to communicate with her, and that they might be this thing where sometimes when a soul is reincarnated, the soul gets split between two beings. And you go back and you tell the lady as much, and I let the lizard live. And she was like, well, what does this mean? How am I going to even talk to a lizard? Like, it can't even speak. And I was like, well, why don't you go out there and just, get to know it? Just try, just learn from each other. And I was like, it was kind of an interesting early quest.
Yeah, I remember this.
And I went, like Baldur's Gate, I was like, I wonder what the payoff of this is. And so I went out there. Blizzard's just out there doing things. She's not out there at all. There's no follow-up, at least yet. Sometimes as you go to new regions, characters from previous regions might come over as well. So if there is an eventual payoff to that, so far there hasn't been one. So that's a bit of a disappointment, right? Because I'm like, man, like, I wish I could see more of this. Because again, that stuff's really compelling to me. Like, solving a dream plague, like, it's good enough main story to be like, all right, let's go find out what the big mystery of this place is and a bunch of other little things. But it's like standard RPG fare. I mean, almost any BioWare Obsidian role-playing game has had there's a mysterious plague plaguing the people. Like, it is tropey trope.
Oh, yeah. Tropey
and
McTroper
this game plays right into it. And it's fine. Like, it's enough to get you out into the world and adventuring and teach you about the world. But it's not revolutionary. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, this is doing something different. In fact, there are even some very similar story beats to Baldur's Gate where I've sat there and gone, wow, this was a lot more elaborate and interesting in Baldur's Gate. But overall, I will say the writing, while it might be playing in the realm of tropes, the writing is pretty good.
It's way better than that Dragon Age business.
It is way better than Veilguard, and like astronomically better. And I'll give you a prime example, because one of the big things that Veilguard got thrown at it was you put a bunch of real world stuff in. It took me out of the game. And I actually think, in general, sometimes that stuff is okay, because I think sci-fi and fantasy is a fun realm to put familiar situations to your real life in a not direct parallel world and ask the player or the observer, what do you think of this? What is your interpretation? And Avowed does this. There's some of this in Avowed as well. But the thing that Avowed does very intelligently, and I'll give you another kind of not that important quest spoiler, is there was a lady who runs a bathhouse, which is basically a brothel, and she wants you to get a package for her. And when you go and you get the package, you find out that it contains an herb that, when taken in small doses, will prevent a pregnancy from happening, and when taken in large doses, will terminate a pregnancy early.
Jeez.
This game, obviously, it is wearing its parallels on its sleeve, right? But what this game does that I think is really good, and this is what I think good writing does, is it doesn't tell you how you should feel about that.
Yeah.
It puts it in the world in a place that makes sense, in a way that makes sense within the context of fantasy, and you can report that package. You can turn her into the authorities. You can take the package back to her and pretend like you have no idea what's in it. You can secretly make a deal with the ambassador to finance that herb continues to get sent to this place to keep the populace happy. You can do a whole bunch of things depending on what you think the outcome of that situation should be. And by giving you that agency, that's what video games and writing in video games should be. It shouldn't be telling you this is how you feel. Now, I did one option. I'm notorious when I play video games. I have one save file more often than not, and it's still true here. And I didn't think about it until after the fact, because I thought I might talk about this on the show or on a bonus piece of content at some point down the road. I should have seen what the outcomes were, depending on what else you might do, because I picked the option that made sense for me. And my party members were like, "Hey, I really like how you handled that situation." I am curious, if I went a different way, would they still be like, "Hey, respect," or would they be like, "Hey, let me tell you about what's important"? I don't know how preachy in one direction or another it could be, but in general, I did make another choice that was a morally questionable choice later on. And one character said, "Hey, I don't think you handled that well."
Yeah.
And I went, "Well, this is why I thought it was the right thing to do." And they were like, "All right, I can see that." And I like when a game gives you that ownership. And that was one of the biggest problems with Veilguard, was that you basically had to play camp counselor to a bunch of kids. And you just, every situation that came up was like, "And how did that make you feel?" Mm-hmm. Like, you had no agency on the story whatsoever. You just sort of like nudged people towards their therapeutic outcome for whatever they were going through. It's like, "Oh, you want to die and be reborn as a necromancer? Well, I don't have any opinion on that. What matters is how you feel about that." And it's like, it didn't stick with me it stuck with me, but not in a good way.
The necromancer was cool. It was
that one I did intentionally pick an example.
Averin and his how's your relationship with the bird going? "Oh, he's a scoundrel." "Wow, you two are a match made in heaven. Anyways, I know you'll get closer." Okay, and then that's just that. It's very one dimensional. Sure, yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I like the depth that it goes to. Also, one other thing this game does that I really like, I just got to shout it out. I think you've been far enough to see this too, Scott. One problem that happens frequently in storytelling and like RPGs and stuff is people tell you how dangerous something is.
Yeah.
And so like in this game, you're going to a city called Paradise. And despite the name, everybody's telling you, you're going to not be liked there.
Yeah.
You need to tread carefully. People are going to think you suck. And like, this is a dangerous town. This is a dangerous world.
Yeah.
And like, people keep telling you that. And so often in RPGs and stuff, when people tell you that, it's an empty threat, because it's like, well, I'm the main character and you have to tell a story, so everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, you go to the town, you buy your stuff. In this one, even like, I know where you're headed with this, and I'll let you get there, but I will say this. When you do character creation in this, part of this is how weird do you want to look, because your origin is pretty weird. And I'm covered in like seashells and mushrooms. Like, I look like a nightmare. They call you a god. No, not godlike. Is it godlike?
No, yeah, it's godlike.
Godlike,
yeah.
That's right. So I already look like a complete freak. So I just thought they were like going, "Oh, you're weird looking. They're not going to love you in town anyway." And then what happens?
Well, and then you walk in town and you get immediately shot in the stomach with an arrow.
You get shot immediately. And the story goes, that was a really memorable moment, because I went in with the same feeling of like, this is a video game. I know how to do this. I'm dead.
Yeah, they try to assassinate you immediately.
It was great. It's a great moment. Very
I just got to
memorable.
say kudos to them for doing it, because so often they tell you like, "Hey, people aren't going to be happy you're here. You got to be careful. You're going to make a lot of enemies." And you're like, "It's fine. I'm the main character in the story." You walk into town and thunk.
Yep.
Well, that's the end of you.
It's great. Fishman
obviously
is no
not,
help.
But
yeah, there's a lot more to it, and we won't tell you how things go after that. But it's also beautiful. This game's really pretty. We didn't talk about that much, but I think the environments are gorgeous. Characters are great. That helps the combat. Super smooth. It's famously an Unreal 5 game. It was one of the early ones announced as being developed when 5 was announced, and it shows. It's gorgeous. All the environments and stuff really impressed me. There's some, there's a couple of character models when they start talking to you up close, you're like, "Man, your eyes are weird," or there's things like that kind of maybe are a little uncanny, but for the most part, it's this feels like
I think the art style is carrying it in a lot of ways. I maybe wish for a little bigger enemy variety. I'm only 3 zones into the game, but it's like there's a lot of spiders and a lot of bears and a lot of lizard people. Yeah. But it's that
combat feels so good. That's the thing, is combat sometimes in these games like Skyrim can get tedious. It doesn't here. It feels tactical and rewarding when you get a good hit and you're paying attention to their shield strength and staggers and paying attention to what abilities you have that will stagger or stun them so you can get them out of their shields. Like, just good, visceral, meaty combat. Even if you're ranged, it feels so good. I love it.
A lot of options too. Like, the pistol I use has an electric charge to it. And so, like, if enemies are standing in the water, I can just shoot the water and they'll start to get electrocuted from it. I highly recommend, if you play this game, have a spell book with you at all times, because there's a lot of environmental things where it's like, well, if you want to go explore up here, you need to have something that does ice so you can freeze the water so you can jump up on the ledge, or, you need electricity to charge these conduits to open a door. And sometimes your companions can pick up the slack on that. Sometimes your weapons can pick up the slack on that. But if you have a spell book, just the basic elemental spell book you find in the tutorial, you can keep that with you through most of the game, and it will resolve most of those. There's only one I have found that seems to be either you have to be a mage, a higher level mage, or have a specific companion with you to negate.
Yeah.
But that's not super common, and usually the big stuff isn't hidden behind stuff like that. It's like more crafting materials and stuff like that.
There are places where I haven't been able to get through the wall because I don't have the strength or the weapon type or something, or a companion that can do it.
I will tell you, grenades.
Yeah, grenades are great.
Or if you learn the charge ability, usually that will get you through the cracked walls.
Oh, the melee charge, yeah. That's the other cool thing, is the game isn't so interested in making you pick be a druid. Now all you can do is druid shit. It's like, hey, do you want to have one of those druid abilities where you can do like the tangle thing? And then while you're here, just take that tank thing where you charge. That's pretty cool. And you can do all these things. The game doesn't force you into some hole. You do get to apply stats every level. And so you're going to build a character the way you want, like lots of strength, lots of intel, whatever. Intellect, that's what I meant. So that part of the game is there for sure, but it's not stopping you from exploring play styles, respecking if you want. It costs gold, but so what? Everything does. It's cool. Game is rad. Mm-hmm. Big recommendation. And it's just beautiful on running on PC. I haven't tried this on Steam Deck because I'm playing it on Game Pass, so I don't really have an easy way to do that right now, or I haven't set it up to, but I hear it's okay on Steam Deck when you're playing on Steam. Anyway, game's great. Avowed, thumbs up, game of the year so far for me. Okay.
So far in February.
Yeah.
February's game of the year.
February's game of the year 2025.
The GTA 6 is coming out, dog.
Not this year. Not this year. That thing already got delayed till next, at least. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
That ain't happening this year.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
they're
that's what
still
I saw.
Saying.
I
thought they were still saying 2025.
GTA 6 delay. Hold on. I just saw this.
I have no idea, so I'm not going to make any.
Currently, rumors GTA could be delayed from its planned fall 25 release to 2026. As of now, they have not officially announced it. So I guess this is just rumors based on internal leaks and stuff, but there's a lot of talk about it.
Don't get me wrong. On our game of the year, I predicted it would not be out this year.
Yeah.
And I love being right.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites, but I hadn't heard anything yet.
Yeah, I hope they make it. If they don't, I won't be surprised. We'll see in a couple of months when they announce that it's delayed. All right, let's see. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we each played on our own. I played a game that I don't know how to describe this game, so this will either be quick or the opposite of that. I played an indie title that just grabbed my attention, and I had to buy it like sight unseen for a couple of reasons. One, it was this French guy. He's a single developer. who usually works on AAA games, has this long-running dream to make this game, and he did it on his own, and that was enough of a story to get me excited about supporting this indie dev. Plus, I've been kind of the Civ mood lately, and town builder mood, and just kind of that sort of thing. So I checked out a game called Dunnfolk, just launched. And Dunnfolk is this town building and 4X sort of style game that's sort of retro-y looking, a lot of pixels and stuff. And it builds the world in this big grid, this unexplored grid of forests and plains and some old dilapidated buildings. And your job is to set up a camp or a fort to start with, and then eventually build that into more. If you're watching the video version of this right now, you're seeing this little mini game where you're killing deer. And I'll get to that in a second because it's actually one of my favorite things about it. Speaking of mini games, so far I haven't had to fish. So, Beau, we're good so far.
All right.
But anyway, the game is semi-real time. Well, I shouldn't say that. It is real time. There's a clock ticking. You can speed it up anytime or pause it anytime because sometimes you just don't have the resources you need and you're like, well, let's just skip 20 days or hold down the button until 20 days pass and I have some resources. And those resources include food, light, which is it's like a way of illuminating the place and also getting rid of this scourge that's like plaguing the place. It's a long story. And then wood or like building materials. And you get those by, you reveal a square and you find out, oh, this is forest. Oh, there's animals in there. Do you want to hunt the animals? Yeah. So I'll zip into this thing. It'll zoom in a little bit. And there's a mini game where I'm playing with a controller. You can do it with keyboard and mouse, but controller, they recommend controller. But anyway, I go into this square and I play basically a small game of almost like Space Invaders, but I'm just shooting like the 3 or 4 deer that are in that square. And if you hit them all, you get the most for your mini game. You get the most possible meat or food out of it. If it's cutting down trees, same thing. There's an axe flies across the screen. You hit A to stop it right on the tree trunk, and when you do that right and get 100%, you get more wood out of that square than you would normally. But then you can build on there and build like a forestry hut, which will keep growing trees, and it will be a permanent source of trees coming to you as resources, or wood rather. You upgrade your camps to be like full-grown tents, and then groups of tents, and then eventually housing, and then eventually a city, and you just kind of keep growing out from there. There's a campaign mode where there's a whole story about this mist that's trying to kill everything, and so you got to fight against that using this light power that you accumulate. I ended up earning food very quickly, but it was very slow earning the light material, which is kind of my MMO with games like this.
That's your MMO.
That's my MMO. And you just kind of go from there. It's all procedurally done, so none of this is ever the same every time you run it. It's a little like a fast-paced 4X game, kind of Civ on steroids. And the little mini games are kind of a hoot. When you collect berries, for example, it zooms in, and now you have a little bucket at the bottom of the screen that you move back and forth to catch these berries that fall down the screen. And if you catch them all, you get the most potential berry yield out of it. It's a hard game to explain, but it's clear while playing it that there's a massive amount of passion put into this thing. And this guy clearly made something that he's been wanting to make for a really long time. And you can just kind of feel the passion. It's only $10 and I have been loving this game. It's super fun and really satisfying because stuff's always ding, ding. Oh, you got more wood. Sweet. And also placement matters. So if I'm building housing or whatever, a farm, it's best to build crops around that farm because you're going to get bonuses for adjacency. It's kind of a gaming concept for lots of things, right? It's like playing Fire Emblem or something. You get a benefit from having somebody next to you. It's like that. So you want to be smart about where you're placing your structures.
Like Queen's Blood.
A little bit, yeah. There are treasure chests hidden in places. There are weird encounters, strange story stuff that happens. I haven't lost yet. I've gotten into some real sticky situations, but it's not the kind of game where you just sort of lose. You just kind of keep going, and you can eventually unlock like endless modes, Zen modes, community made stuff. Just a really ambitious little title, and I'm having a blast with it. It is again called Dunnfolk and is available now. It might just
looks
scratch.
like a city builder card game. Was that kind of?
I wouldn't say cards because there are no cards.
No, there's tiles, but like it's sort of arranged like a solitaire.
A little bit. When you fill a tile or when you go to do something on that tile, build something, you need the resources to build it. So it might cost you 15 humans or 15 people, man hours, whatever, and it might take 30 building materials and then 20 bushels of food. And then that's enough to build a church or a temple or whatever it is so that you can get healing and stuff. So it's more like a city builder in that resources are everything. Like, and
maybe it's just more city builder, but it's just tile based rather than trying to be realistic.
Oh, definitely, definitely. They're definitely doing that. So they've got this adjacent thing is very easy, obviously, for a game like this because you're literally in a grid. But it really works through the aesthetic of it all, and the little mini games are fun. But you can even unlock a technology in your game that it's basically a building that will automate all the mini games. If you don't like them, it'll just do it. And you can automate a lot of tasks in the game, actually, if you unlock certain things. It's just a cool thing. It's just a rad little game. Maybe just the kind of game that makes you go, oh man, we should all be making games. Games are great. Just creative and cool. Anyway, check it out. Dunnfolk, available now. That's Dawnfolk, available on Steam. Good reviews on there too. People seem to like this a lot. I also played. I'm not sure how anyone's going to feel about this, but I played a game called Sunday Rivals because it was on sale and I was in the mood for arcade football.
Marvel Rivals, but weird. Oh, okay.
No, it's a football game, and it's exactly what you think. It's more like Blitz, though. So if you liked NFL Blitz back in the day, arcade or at home or whatever, Blitz was an amazing football game. Imagine blocky, low poly looking dudes, but a really nice, pretty engine, and you're running plays and catching balls with a bunch of fake players with fake team names. And I love this stuff. I'm a big fan, and I like the strategy of a good football game. And this is where this game actually won me over, because there's lots of these out there, including just playing Blitz if you want. But how they feel is really important. Like, what does it feel like to throw a successful pass? As you can see, there's a lot of customization in this game too, but that's where they nail it. Like, it just feels great when I get a little breakaway long pass or somebody catches a Hail Mary, or the run I did a running play and that actually worked and somebody broke away and got a touchdown when they shouldn't have. Just a really fun one of these. And it's cheap. I think it's like $5 right now. It's on sale.
Nice.
I'd never heard of it. So every once in a while I get a little sports itch, and this one scratched it pretty good. And it has no right looking as good as it does, because, I mean, look at the lighting and like the depth of field and everything. But if you get close up on these players, they all look like, PS2 guys or whatever.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I like the look of it a lot.
Yeah. And it doesn't cheat. I don't feel a lot of rubber banding going on. It doesn't feel like they got an interception because the game's close. Some of these things that some games do, they just piss me off. This didn't feel that way. It just felt nail bitey and like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this. Oh yeah, I got that guy and he fumbled it. Oh shit. This kind of stuff is really good in it. And it's just a nice little fun little game. Probably another single developer for all I know, a couple of guys working on it. And I got kind of hooked on it. Runs great on Steam Deck. That's the other thing I would mention. It's called Sunday Rivals. And you should go check it out. It's on Steam. Finally, more Civ 7. Just some other odds and ends. Oh, big thanks to CT7567 in our community, who got me a copy of Age of Wonders 4. I've been wanting to play that.
Yeah, it's funny. They also gifted it to me, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, awesome. I want this game.
Yeah,
I hit accept gift, and it didn't go through. And I hit accept gift, and it didn't go through.
Oh, weird.
I hit accept gift, and it didn't go through. And I was like... Yeah. Why can't I get this gift? And then I read the message because, like an idiot, I was just like, it not working, even though a message was popping up. Yep. I didn't think until the third time to read the message. Mm-hmm. It's because I already owned it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's always an embarrassing one. It's like, hey, you should play this game. It's like, awesome. I'd love to play that game. I haven't been able to.
Yeah.
And then you find out you've been able to for...
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny.
So he's trying to get a copy to Beau as well. He told me. When he first told me, he says, "Hey, I really want to send you this." And also, I know there are 3 hosts on the show, so he was going to make sure everybody got it.
I'm not sure if it's the same person. Someone swung by my Twitch chat and asked me if I would play it, and I was like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of time. People, we listeners have been very generous in gifting games, and I always feel terrible when I don't play them.
Yeah,
it's one thing when I do it to myself, but Sure. That being said, I'm looking at it right now, and I kind of want to play it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like fantasy.
I'm like, actually, this looks kind of awesome.
For people who've never played the Age of Wonders games, they play a lot like the old Magic games or Civ, sort of, because basically you're doing Civ stuff, but with big master units. Actually, it plays just like Civ. It's like fantasy Civ, except you can, if you want to, during the fights. You don't just resolve the fight. You can have it auto resolve, or you can go into a whole other view and do like tactical, like.
I just assume there's no space race in this. We got to beat the orcs to the moon. No. They keep it all pretty grounded that way, but it's fun. I like it a lot. I only played. The UI looks like Civ for sure.
I only played it for a couple hours, but a lot of people are like, yeah, if Civ is too like boring history, like it's too historical, and you want to just go nuts with spells and orc camps and underground stuff. That
should make me love this game. Why don't I play this game? Usually that's my reaction to everything is like, this is stupid, boring real life. Why can't it be more fantasy?
I think what makes real life is like the stakes are more like tangible.
Maybe.
When it's a bunch of elves killing each other, it's whatever's, I don't know. Like, I will I'm interested in play this, but like I know why that I get the appeal for a game like Civ or like that. It's because it's like, it's got like these mechanisms of the real world that would never sell in a fantasy game, like the United Nations.
Sure.
It's like
sure.
I'm sure this is not a technology tree, but I had the thought I want to be the first elf to discover plastics, and it's just made me really want that game too.
Yeah.
It's that kind of a thing,
It's definitely got equivalents to all of those things, but you're right; they're very fantasy driven. So you raise up new. What am I trying to say? You're recruiting new troops. Those troops aren't warriors per se. They are undead elfmen or undead bowmen or something.
Yeah.
And then for city improvements, you're doing weird stuff that's like mana towers, instead of
it's like it's it's fine, and it probably is fun. It just doesn't. It's like very in its lane for what it is, right?
That said, I'm telling you, there's an untapped mine. A game where you can research technology to have like elf Tupperware and whatnot in the space race, orcs on the moon. I
like it.
I think there's something here.
Yeah, I
think someone out there needs to capitalize. Civ, new one isn't getting the best reviews. People are hungry for a civilization game. Let's get some elf plastics.
Just make it more about like don't do the sensational fantasy stuff with spells and martial weapons. It's like we need economy. We need
this
big science.
This one's full of economy
we need to understand like what the cultures are and what their needs are and how to expand them.
But it's got a lot of that. Like if you like the diplomacy stuff in Civ style games, this thing is full of that stuff. Like you're befriending these quote unquote city states of.
I'm sure there's the diplomacy layer.
Yeah.
It's probably leans towards. I'm guessing it probably leans more towards warfare and just basic diplomacy. There's not. We need. I mean, are there strategic resources in this game?
Oh yeah. There's all kinds of mining you want to do. You want to claim areas. You want to expand your empire. You want to found new cities, and you also want to talk to some of the
like if the other civ has like diamond and you want the diamond, so you like asked to take the land, and if they don't, you'll go to war with them.
You can, or you can do. There's deals you can make. Like you'll give us 14 diamonds per turn. In exchange, you get 14 culture points or whatever.
Okay, so you can create like a trade agreement for.
Yeah, they have like trade routes. One thing that I thought was really cool, and they're showing.
Maybe that is that game. I mean, I haven't played it. I'm kind of judging without playing it, so I should.
Yeah, they're showing a little bit of this here, but there's also these entrances into the underworld, and it's basically a whole Underdark kind of layer under everything. And down there's questing to do, different stuff to kill that aren't up top. There's resources you can only get underneath. So there's a lot of that going on. It's a cool game, and I've only played about 2.5 hours, but I played this in bed on my Steam Deck. It played great, but I'm sure it's even better on PC. And I plan to play more. So huge thanks to him for that. The game's pretty cool. And I'm glad we saved him some money because you already had it, John. You already owned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Made me happy. Anyway, thanks for that, John. Let's fly over to you and talk about It's just came out today. Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Yeah. I honestly don't have much to say because I've only played a couple minutes of it. Like, we're not even to an hour in this yet. Just based on when it came out and the stuff I had to do before the show and all of that. But I'm mentioning it because if you were curious if anyone was going to play it, absolutely is the answer. And I've basically done enough to see the opening to the story, which is basically what was in the trailer. Like, your Goro Majima, he has washed up on a beach. He doesn't know who he is. He has amnesia. He gets saved by a little boy and his pet cat/tiger. And he beats up some pirates who were there for some reason.
Sure.
And that's basically where I'm at right now. But I don't know. There's just something magical about these games. They just make me laugh over the silliest things. Like, when I got in a fight with the pirates, like, there was a big sign that just popped up that just said, "Pirates!" And it just made me laugh. Like, I can't even really explain why that's so funny to me, but it is.
I like in the games when you come across an asshole and the fight starts and it just blazons asshole across the screen. That always makes me laugh.
I was watching a video review and there was a bear and it just said "a bear" before the fight started. Yeah. It's like, I don't know why, just somebody like yelling what it is right before you go fight it is really funny to me.
Yeah.
But it does tie into the last game, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. So, I mean, that shouldn't surprise anybody. Goro Majima was in that game. But we still don't know how the events of that game led him to be deserted on an island with amnesia. So that's going to be fun to discover. And reviews have been very positive on this game. I can't wait to play more of it.
Do you think it's a before or after Infinite Wealth?
It's after. They actually give a date of it. They talk about... So I believe the events of this are starting in August of 2024, and he's telling this story saying it was 6 months ago, so it's apparently happening fairly real time.
Oh, okay. And is there any cameos even in the beginning?
Cool so far, no cool cameos yet, at least not that I know of. But it's already funny. Like the little kid is walking around and he's like, "This is my cat." The cat's name is Goro, for we don't know why, because Majima does not remember his name. And so he's like, "This is my cat Goro." And he's like, "I don't know why I named him that. He just seemed like a Goro to me." And so I don't know why the cat has
maybe the cat's
Majima's name too.
Maybe the cat's into Mortal Kombat or something. Maybe it's that Goro. You never know.
I mean, they have weird names. Ichiban has a pet crayfish called Nancy.
One of my favorite things is like, so it has the opening scene. Again, this is in the trailer. These are the opening minutes of the game, so I'm not too worried about spoilers. But there's a scene where the little boy offers him water because he's washed up on the shore of this island, and he drinks it, and he's like so vigorously drinking it, and he talks about how amazing the water tasted because he was dying of thirst and all of that. And then it cuts to him talking to the boy, and he's like, "Hey, I don't know who I am. Who are you?" And then it cuts back to him saying, "Hey, by the way, figuring out the language barrier was a big pain in the ass, so I'm just gonna skip that part. And from that point on, if you're playing in English, everybody speaks English. And if you're playing in Japanese, everybody speaks Japanese." They don't acknowledge the fact that this kid would be speaking English and he would be speaking Japanese. They don't touch on it any more than that. He just says it was a pain in the ass, and he doesn't go any more in depth than that. Yeah.
That's a fourth wall breaking joke. Cause like, it's like that too in Infinite Wealth where they go to the USA, but like I'm in English the whole time. There's no
Yeah.
Switch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except the way they make Americans talk is kind of low key. Not great. Hey, yo, what the hell you looking at, man?
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, I'm walking here, kind of thing. Sure.
very
So that
stereotypical.
The reviews are pretty not middling, but this must be the month or the year of reviews are split. Like some people love this.
Why is it not getting?
It's not like bad reviews. It's just like
10 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's barely been out, but it just feels like the story this year. Every game of any quality is just getting like split reviews, just the way it's going. But like PC Gamer gave it 70. It said it isn't quite fine at sea legs, whatever that means. I've read other reviews that are just like, this is what I needed. Put it in my veins.
It's got a 79 on Metacritic. I mean, that's good.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I think the thing is, like, I was reading I think it was a review even I was reading or some article on it. And the critique was like, oh, there weren't a lot of new levels. And I'm like, have you ever played Yakuza? There's never new levels. Like, what the hell are you talking? Like, you know what I mean? So I just think this is why this franchise doesn't like hit mainstream high review levels. It's because you're like in a cult. Like, if you're like going by like, I need new things and better graphics, and you know, I have to understand things, like you're going to review it badly. But like when you understand what you're playing,
yeah,
you're very happy. It's the way it is. So I can't trust any of these reviews, to be honest.
Yeah, it's too early.
And the thing is like Yakuza. Like, if I was trying to be objective about a review, I would probably give it like, if we're doing out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8. Like, but to me, they're 10s. Like, they're always 10s. Like, to me, they rise above their shortcomings.
Yeah, you never play. I've never played a Yakuza game and went, oh my god, gaming will never be the same again.
No,
right.
Not the point of it.
I'm like, oh, here's a worse version of other games I've played, but I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know that's basically like you know the
like
deal.
I see a 79 and I think that's probably I probably would say I put it in an 80 based on what I've heard and seen and all of that, but like that seems fair. Like, it's a series I love, and I feel like if it's a series that you love, you're gonna love this one too. You know, it almost goes into that. I used to always say, like, I add a star to whatever the review is for, you know, if it has Star Wars in it. Like, same thing with Yakuza. I'd probably add points to the score because it's a Yakuza game. Like, that's just the reality of it.
I think the ratings on Yakuza games strictly hinges on how like emotional and poignant the story is.
Yeah,
I've noticed when it's overwhelming positive, when it's high reviews, it's because the story really, really slaps. And when it's lower, it's because the story is not as good, or in the older Yakuza games, just is not that good, or is really old. But like these, yeah, like these are never going to be blowout games. I don't think. I think they know their audience, and they're not trying to make, you know, something that's going to get a 10 anyways. I don't think they even care about it.
No, they know their audience, and their audience is John, and he's going to love this game, and so are you, Beau, when you play it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think it's people who get into it. I think you're like on the outside of Yakuza. There was someone in the chat, what was his name? Cutie Fish, who was like, I'm playing my first Yakuza game. It's Yakuza 0. I've played for like 4 hours. I don't know, guys. This is really boring. And
oh yeah.
And we were like,
Cruddlefish from Cruddlefish from our Discord. Yeah, like a few months ago was complaining about it.
Just stick it out till you get to the point where like, you know, Goro's got to kill somebody, and you got to decide like what happens, or the character will decide. And then they hit that point, and they're like, I love Yakuza, and they've played every single game.
Yeah,
like there's an update every day. Like, I don't think they have a life.
Journey. Like, it's been a crazy journey, Cruddlefish in our Discord, going from, guys, I don't know if I'm feeling this. Like, it started with what one should I start with, because Beau and John talk so passionately about it. Then they tried it and they're like, do these games get better? Because right now it's not good. And now they've played from 0 to 6. They just got to Like a Dragon.
oh my gosh.
And they're working on that and enjoying that. And so they are almost caught up. They've played more Yakuza than me.
Yeah.
There's still lots of Yakuza. There's still No Name is excellent, and like Infinite Wealth's pretty long. Like those games are longer. The more modern games take more time to complete.
Think they'll ever do like a top-down tactical Yakuza that's been out? I'd play that.
They might have a mini game of that. I mean,
I would play that so hard. Oh my gosh, I'd play that.
Top-down tactical Yakuza.
I mean, they might. You never know.
You think it sounds crazy, but
they have a pirate game, so why not?
Yeah, they made pirates. They did with the first Like a Dragon, they introduced turn-based JRPG combat, which seemed insane at the time. I don't think it's that crazy.
They're not afraid to do anything. Like, the reason I know this takes place after the events of Infinite Wealth is because they're telling Majima about Nele Island, and they're like, yeah, there's a bunch of Yakuza on the island right now. And he immediately assumes they're doing something bad, and they're like, no, they've brought in a bunch of Yakuza to clean up nuclear waste. Like, that's what the story's doing right now. The serious, real story is a bunch of Yakuza are finding work cleaning up nuclear waste on a Hawaiian island.
Yeah.
Like, this story, and it makes sense. Like, I know everybody who doesn't know heard that and is like, what the hell is this series about? But I swear to you, it makes sense. If you go on this journey, it makes sense.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I was just going to say too that, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
Sorry, I distracted
Got you distracted.
No, you didn't distract
Yakuza
me.
cleaning up nuclear waste.
No, it's just, I think like you just develop bonds with a lot of the characters, and the stories are kind of like touchingly told. And I don't know. It's just really good, and that's why it's got a bit of the weird with the serious, and yeah, I mean, it's just really good. I was gonna say in Yakuza 1, one of the mini games is the kids like to play this game. I don't know if it's a video game or not. They don't make it quite clear, but Kiryu's not above like hanging out with some kids to play their weird little games, right? He's a kid at heart.
Yeah.
But you find out that it's oiled up women, skimpily dressed in bug outfits. Oh, it's a trading card game. So it's like Magic the Gathering, except the artwork is photos of scantily clad women wearing bug outfits. So you have like a beetle card, and then you've got like a antlion card and a bumblebee card, and it's kids that are into this. Like, all like, hey, mister, you want to play some whatever they freaking call it? And you're like, yo, nutty, you know, and then you like play the game with them and collect all the beetle women cards.
Yeah.
So the game's like psychotic with what they'll do.
Real quick, John, I know this is changing gears, but didn't you play The Root Trees Are Dead? You did that, right? We talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
That thing. Oh, there it is. Okay. The review on PC Gamer is really strong. They seem to think that was amazing. So, I didn't mean to change it.
Really good. Yeah.
I've never played any Yakuza games. Are they a little perverted? They're very perverted. It's not like kids not going to enjoy Yakuza. It's adult humor.
I mean, it's perverted, but not in like a. It's not like you're watching hentai or something like that. A word I learned on this show. That's not like that. There's no sex, but there is like in Yakuza 0. I think it's 0. You can go into a videotape store and go into a room and watch it's actually live FMVs. Oh my! Of
like women, of like actual Japanese women. They're not doing anything sexual, but they're like in a bikini and they're like, oh no, and the implication, because there's like a box of Kleenex and a trash can in the small little video stall where you watch the video. Yeah. The implication is you go in there to rub one out watching these videos.
Yeah.
While it's not perverted, it like acknowledges all facets of Japanese culture, because I guess these are a thing, and you know you can do them.
Yeah, you don't want to explain to your average 5-year-old why all these men are in diapers and why they want to be in diapers.
If you're in a situation where your significant other or your child will walk in and be concerned about what they see on their screen, depending on what you're doing, this will be on that list. But it's not like it's not porn. It's not like outright porn game. But is it perverted? Yes. One of the most adorable characters are the Yakuza that like to unwind by slapping diapers on and having a woman treat them like babies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who
And
doesn't?
But also,
and they're recurring
that's-
characters.
And as ridiculous as that is, that character will also give a heartfelt emotional speech on the difficulties of raising a child and how to be a good parent and partner to your loved ones.
That's right.
And it will be presented without irony, and it will be presented heartfelt and serious,
Yep.
and it will be a touching read.
Yep.
And then he'll go back to pretending to be a baby, even though he's a grown man.
Yeah.
And that's what this series is. That's what this series does, and that's why it's lovely.
No, it has the goofy perverted shit, but like even just that, like there is a side quest in Infinite Wealth where there's like this kind of old man that you're in Hawaii, but he's looking for snow, and you kind of help him try to find snow, and he's like, it's kind of annoying, but you kind of pull it on the thread, right? And it's just like why does this crazy old man want snow? There's sort of this comedy element to it. I forget the particulars, but what stuck with me was that like, well, his wife is dying. Like he's an old man. She's bedridden. She has dementia. She barely knows. She doesn't recognize him. So not only is she dying, but she's like scared and alone and doesn't know anybody. And he thought if he could find snow, it might jog her memory. And so throughout all this quest, you finally, you don't get snow. It's something, I think it's actually something perverted.
I remember it. This ties into diaper wearing Yakuza.
Oh, they shred the
material
diapers, right?
in the diaper when shredded.
Right.
It looks like snow.
They shred up the diapers and it looks like snow. So the diaper Yakuza are outside of the window shredding up diapers to make it look like snow. And the woman with dementia believes that it's snow, and it jogs her memory. Ugh. And she's happy, and he's happy, and it has like this happy ending.
Then tell her to breathe through her nose and see if it's still happy or not.
And the diaper Yakuza are like, you owe us, because they're vacationing in Hawaii, and you like shred up their supply of diapers for their vacation.
You all right, Beau? You okay over there?
Oh my god. The more Beau thought about that, the funnier it got to him.
Yeah.
This is why I like the game. It's so stupid.
Yeah, name
so
another
funny.
game that turns you all red and laugh like that. Nothing.
Like, there's nothing perverted going on other than like how ridiculous. Like, I'm just watching Scott's face too. They're like shredding the diapers in Scott's face.
It sounds so gross.
Yeah, it is gross, but it's touching at the same. Like, it's like seriously acted and like has dramatic music, and it's like better than anything else in the world sometimes.
Well, I'm glad you're playing it, John. We'll get to hear more about it next week, I'm sure. So wait, these aren't used diaper though. These are diapers that were meant for them.
No.
They
That's
aren't
their
used.
supply of diapers.
Okay.
Because they're
They
vacationing
packed
in
a
Hawaii.
bunch because they vacationed to pretend to be diapers for their whole
Yeah.
vacation.
No.
And they're like, dude, this is all of our diapers. What are we gonna do for the rest of our vacation? You're like, thanks, man. You really did a good deed, sacrifice. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That's amazing. I haven't seen you turn that red with laughter in my life. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. It's the stages in which it came back to me. Like,
That was something.
It's all connected, man.
Well, I hope to hear more. We will hear more as you play more. Beau, you hit full throttle, it says here, in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a point-and-click adventure game hidden within Final Fantasy. Just kidding. That's only a joke for full throttle fans. You're playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. How's that going?
All right, so I'm finally full in. Apologies to John for making him wait to actually have someone to talk about it meaningfully. I am at Chapter 4, Junon. So I don't know how far you are, but you must be somewhere... You said you played a lot of.
I installed it.
I haven't finished it yet. I just got to Barrett's hometown.
Okay, so you're still farther than me, but I've done I've been pretty completionist about Chadley's checklist.
Yeah.
So I've done
he's got a
everything
lot of stuff he wants you to do. That Chadley.
Yeah, I've done everything in Grasslands, and I'm halfway done in Junon. But I gotta say, it's finally hit. And I think I know what was like causing me to delay is the combat was kind of, because it's the middle of a game. So it's like they need to start you off at the beginning, but they kind of start you off with more because they don't want it to make it seem like it's game one or, minute one. So I really wasn't having fun with the game because I'm supposed to know how it works. but I'm just button mashing and not understanding anything. And there's kind of a lot of that with, they give you Sephiroth right in the opening. You're just like, okay, So finally, as I got out, I did calm. I went through the story. I enjoyed the story and everything like that. But I finally got out to calm and started getting my bearings. I did the tutorial missions that Chadley provides. Huge breath of fresh air, because that you just play as a single hero, and I can remember how Cloud works and how Tifa works and how Aerith works, and I'm like, I think I just needed that foundation to build so that combat was actually enjoyable and I understood what I was doing. Because once I did that, I haven't been able to put the game down, so I'm having a blast with it. High points or low points first. High points, of course, is the music, except for whatever the hell that LOL song is I heard. I did not care for that song.
What? I don't know. I don't remember the song.
There's that Merc Kyrie.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I think it's related to her or something that's it sounds like LOL. I don't think she's saying that, but it's LOL. LOL. Didn't like that.
That makes me want to die hearing you just say that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but she's fine. The thing that I want to punt into the atmospheres, they decided to add more Chadley. And I think the last game there was just the right amount of Chadley. But
there's also
Chadley,
now girl Chadley.
Right. There's May, girl, and I don't understand if she's another character or him just switching genders and pretending to be a different person. I think that hasn't resolved itself yet, but right now they have to comment in a quick cutscene on your cell phone every time you complete a mission, and it's becoming unbearable. Also, every time I visit Chadley, in spite of the fact that I'm diligently collecting his data from the Rebna Wave towers, he says, my data shows that data collection has stalled. You need to get to doing some stuff. And I'm like, you little bitch child. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to kick you off this cliff if you tell me to hurry up and get you more. So yeah. That aside, I'm really having a great time. The combat is finally clicking with me. I'm having a good time fighting. The story is melodramatic. I think it's the slow burn that's coming. So I am enjoying it a lot. And there's a few pretty good mini games so far. I haven't gotten to the one you were complaining about, the burpees or whatever.
Crunches.
But,
yeah.
One of my favorite mini games ever. I only have one song so far, but it's playing piano.
Oh, well,
I enjoy playing piano. That's amazing. The little system they've devised for that is incredible.
I am terrible at it, and I am so grateful that the one time I've encountered where the game kind of forces you to do it, they were real forgiving. Really forgiving.
It's a tough thing if if you can play a musical instrument, you play the timing right along with it, like it was Rock Band or Rocksmith. But yes, if you don't, play an instrument, then you'd be kind of I don't know, maybe not your favorite, I think. I don't know. But at the same time, it's all fully noted. So you are getting if you do play around with it, you are getting some feeling for playing a piano in a way. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Even though it's with the controller sticks and it's obviously awkward, you should just learn to play on a piano, but it's a fun mini game. I really liked it. And also, I came across finally the Fort Condor. The Warcraft Rumble is basically in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they forced. I've never been so glad. I tried to play through the Yuffie DLC twice.
Yeah.
And the first time I got so into Fort Condor that I didn't end up beating the DLC because
Fort
all I was
Condor
doing
is in that. I didn't know. I didn't play I didn't play the Yuffie DLC, so I didn't know that.
It's good, and that's where Fort Condor is originally introduced, but it's introduced more like what Queen's Blood is here. You don't have hero units in the original. And you're collecting pieces and building your army and stuff like that, and you play against a bunch of named characters and stuff. I think Biggs, or I think Wedge actually might be the Grandmaster of Fort Condor or something like that. He might be the best player or something like that. But Yeah, I got way too hooked on Fort Condor in the DLC, and I didn't beat it. So the next time I went in, I was like, I'm not playing Fort Condor. And I only played like 1 or 2 matches, and I was like, it's not like it's going to be in the game ever again. And then surprise, surprise, Fort Condor does show up in Final Fantasy Rebirth.
And what I like about Fort Condor is that it's in the PlayStation 1 style. Like all the characters look like blocky, pixelated stuff, and they're like, "What am I doing as this?" Like it's cool. Do you know if you can play the DLC as a standalone in?
Yeah, you basically have to, because even though it takes place during the events, it takes place over multiple events, and you still have to launch it as its own separate game.
I should do that because I didn't actually play it. You just reminded me that I should probably do that. But I love the mini games so far. Moogle rounding, so. Frog saucer, not a big fan.
Frog saucer. Anyways, I don't even know if I want to ask what that is. What is a frog saucer?
You turn into a frog, and then you're on this spinny thing, and there's 2 bars that rotate and can knock you off, and you got to jump over or duck under them.
Oh,
yeah,
and you got to last as long as possible.
It's basically like Wipeout, but you're a frog.
Wow. Okay.
But they've stepped up their mini games for sure, and I've enjoyed several.
How do you feel on Queen's Blood? Because I feel like that's the one that got the most love.
I'm like digging it so far. I feel like all my cards are crap, but the challenges aren't too hard. But like I'm always like, I always get like mildly tilted when like I get the center rank with my green spots, and then they put down a card and put down a red spot, and I can't put down anymore, and I'm like, I'm so stupid. I hate this, But I'm that's part of the learning process of the game. I definitely dig it. It's like feels, original, and interesting, and there's not too much of it either. It's not, so far I like it, but like I think there's a good variety of like things to do in each zone, but like it's only the second zone, but it still feels like I think I played 20 hours or so. So it's like it's pretty meaty. I'm just enjoying it a lot. And, I just content wise, in terms of the story and stuff, it's still very, I think it's a slow start because it represents a lull, but I had a real nostalgia hit with I think it's the Jormunger. The big like snake in the swamp.
Oh yeah.
Because that's a really big boss battle. When you first get out of Midgar, it was like it was a skill wall for me, where like my characters were too weak to beat it, but there wasn't anything else to do except do random encounters until I leveled up and beat it. And so they kind of made it like this big like cinematic fight, and I thought it was pretty cool.
What can you tell me about this Doctor Strange?
That's a spoiler. Not far. I'm not that far.
I can't even tell you that.
I stopped watching the screen because you kept showing stuff that I didn't get to yet. So I don't know.
I think he's the Sorcerer Supreme. He's out there doing good work for Marvel.
It is Dr. Chad Supreme, I suppose.
All right. There you go.
Let me ask you, Scott, when you see things like that, does it make you feel like you're missing out?
No. Although I have this game on my hard drive.
Are you going to finish it? I thought you were playing.
I haven't even started. It's in my hard drive. I got to hit play. But I just been busy with other stuff, and I will eventually play it. But when I see a guy like this, how does it make me feel? It makes me equally nervous about what this stupid story point is. And excited.
I see in the background the sign says the gold saucer. I don't know if you remember it from the original, but I
remember John talking about it.
It tells you everything you need to know. It's a crazy magical casino land. So
I'm excited.
I love the gold saucer so much.
He looks like he's an impresario.
He looks like a Tekken fighter to me for some reason. Something about him.
Yeah, he does look straight out of Tekken.
Did you finish the first one, Scott?
I got pretty far, but did not finish it. No.
Okay. I'm just wondering how like disconnected you'll feel, because this is definitely like,
it's a shift.
Well, the big takeaway from the first one is they defeated fate, so now the story is free to do whatever it wants, and by that they mean redo all the events that happened in the original. Anyway,
such a weird thing to do. You talked about this before, but to have the opportunity to reset the timeline, and what do? You just do the same stuff.
But it makes sense. I'd say that as a joke, and it's not a criticism. It's 100% just a joke. That the ending of the first of remake basically made it to where they could say, well, we can do whatever we want with the story now, and then they proceed to do exactly what the story did.
Yeah.
But I do think that everything we've seen and done in the game has been logical.
Yeah.
It's also kind of there because...
well, the Fort Condor stuff, because Chadley's like, wow, this is cool magic. It turns you into a board game. We need to find more magic like this. And I'm
logical within the realm of Final Fantasy. Yeah, you do turn into a pixelated version.
It's okay. It's cool. The silliness is cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite thing is the Fort Condor models are because there were two models in the original Final Fantasy VII. There was kind of the detailed battle screen models. And then there were these pixelated, like map screens. Here, I'll send you a picture of it, Scott.
Yeah, like the little. You look like little tiny.
This is what
guys.
you look like in Fort Condor.
Let's take.
You get pulled into the game, and that's what you look like.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I love that.
It looks so good.
And the characters comment on it. They're like, why do we look like this?
That's so great, dude.
It's almost like a meta commentary in that moment that you're showing, because it's like they look awful and they're like, why do we look like this?
I hate to say this, or maybe I'd love to say this, but I would play 7 in this form. Like,
I 100% would too.
Oh
I love how it looks. I think it looks so good.
It's so good, dude. That's nostalgic and cool, modern at the same time. I love it.
But yeah, like that stuff is it's so stupid. It's so good. I absolutely love Final Fantasy in general's ability to be goofy and weird, but serious at the same time. I mean, same reasons I like Yakuza, basically. It doesn't go quite as weird and bizarre. Although, I don't know, Beau, we'll talk once you finish the boat section of the video game with how weird they decide
the game
to get.
Is, definitely laying it on thick with the, the Tifa Cloud romance thing already. So I'm like, where is this going? Because, back when it was that polygon level, you weren't expecting anything. And now I'm like, what's going to happen?
It's like, yeah. They can do some Rule 34 business with what they got now if they want to.
I mean, I don't think it'll get that way. But there was one point where you're like trying to resuscitate Yuffie because she was, being attacked by a sea monster. And the NPC Rhonda is like, give her CPR. And then you go to give her CPR, but then Cloud notices her breasts.
Of course.
And he stops.
Yeah, how dare
you
touch those
then
breasts.
She regains consciousness and she thinks he's being a perv, and then she's like gonna kill him. And everyone's then it takes her a second to realize, no, he wasn't perving, he was saving her life.
Yeah,
but he did have a moment where he stopped when he was trying to save her life, and he was like, "Ooh, boobies." Like that definitely happened.
I will say, the scene is in the game, in the new game. It's maybe not presented quite that way, but that scene is still 100% there.
It's in there, eh?
They're not afraid. Look, a lot of people said they're not going to put Cloud in a dress. They did.
Yeah.
Like, they've definitely cleaned up the translation and gotten rid of some things that maybe read very insensitive, but in general, you're still doing exactly the same thing.
The only thing you can count on Square doing is saying that sales were disappointing. That's all that's all.
Well, they didn't though, because now it came out on PC and they said it's good.
That's good.
Yeah, I think they actually finally said a game did well, and it was shockingly the PC Rebirth sales.
Yeah, I think that's why you're going to see. Well, I don't know what their deal is with PlayStation, but I think that third one should just simultaneous come out everywhere. Just do that.
It should, but there's a decent chance. They announced that it would be 3 parts at the same time, so there's a good chance whatever deal existed at that point.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, well, that sounds great. Beau, you also dipped your sizable toe into the signs of discovery. What's it called?
Sod discovery.
Yeah,
but we're on a break pretty much from WoW until Undermined it comes out.
Couple weeks,
and I thought, I was just jonesing for some multiplayer, and I thought, the Scarlet Enclave looks interesting, so I just dipped my toe in there. So I had a few funny experiences. The core sod raid team we're trying to get the band back together so we can do some 20-man content. So I'm making a point of mentioning it here that you should log in and play it. It's that we're actually getting kind of active again. And we're able to do 10-man. So I did Sulfurak, which I never did in classic form. So hooray.
Yeah.
It was fun. And then I had this funny experience because Group Finder is now in SOD, which is wasn't really originally there in classic, but it's a feature that's in there now. So you can basically do LFR, but with extra steps. So a player Nomacost in the group's just like, hey, you want to join a Molten Core? It's just whatever. Just like come in and breathe. And I spent most of the time tanking the floor and getting killed because even though I'm 60, I don't have a lot of gear. And the gear is out of control because it's Season of Discovery. So they have like crazy gear that's way more powerful than you'd find in basic. But anyways, I'm definitely, getting my ass handed to me, but whatever. It's just LFR. It's like, who cares? It's just with extra steps.
Yeah.
And everything was going well. And I was just enjoying my ride, getting reals. Reals are an important catch-up currency. You can get it from any dungeon or raid, and you can buy set items and cool shit from a overall vendor, which is it's actually a nice system.
What do they call them? Reals. What's that about?
Reals. Well, I don't know. It's just Disco Elysium had money they called reals. I think, I don't know, it just sounds fancy, I guess.
Okay.
You run out of nouns for all the different currencies.
That's true, especially WoW. WoW has had so many. I don't know how they keep coming up with names for them.
Yeah. So
let's call everything Gil.
Yeah.
That's a solution.
So we're defeat Ragnaros, and at the end there's like some drops, and there's a shield in there. And it has like MP5 and like plus to healing, but it's purple, but it's definitely has more block and armor on it. I was like, whatever, let me need on this, right? And I need, and this shaman needs, I think it was a shaman needs on it. And I won it. And then everyone started calling me a noob because I'm a warrior. And they're like, it's a healing shield.
Fighting words, man.
Yeah. And then I'm like, what? It's like, I linked both my items. I'm like, look, it's technically a better shield, even if I don't need the healing items. Like, it's strictly better than what I have. So I rolled need on it. And it's like LFR, like nobody cares. Like, anyways, whatever. So I was like, you know what? You want to trade with me, you noob? Like, just stop bitching. Like, I'll if you just like be civil, I would just like give it to you. Like, whatever. It's just a shield. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like
this is the real vanilla experience. This is how vanilla.
Yeah,
was
if somebody is like, I'm a healer and I really wanted that, I would be like, okay, you can have it. But they just defaulted to like ganging up on me, so I got like kicked.
Oh.
And I thought it was, we were laughing about it because I'm like, I don't care.
No,
like,
you should be laughing.
Do not give a shit
Who
about
cares?
Yeah,
I didn't even feel bad. Like, I get why they did it.
Molten Core gear in the year 2025.
Yes, exactly. Like, they're being the assholes. But like, I was like, I would trade it anyways. Like, if you just like calmed your head, your nuts a little bit, like whatever. But so they're the victims of their own terrible behavior. But it was like a badge of honor. I was like, sweet. Like, I got kicked for ninja looting. Like, that's not something I would go out of my way to do, like, on purpose. So I thought it was a fun experience, actually.
That's the
Amish
real
overlord immediately it's hunter gear. Ooh.
If anyone at Blizzard's listening that's like can look at reports or whatever, I probably got a bunch of reports. Just make sure to delete those.
Yeah, I bet they probably
they're
already
not legitimately earned.
They already
file those directly into the shredder.
Yeah,
I'm proud of my fairly clean account. Any reports are as fake news on my account.
Do you think any shredders at Blizzard look like goblin, because they have the goblin shredders, those things they walk around and cut down trees? Do you think they'd go all the way in and say, well, I guess I would know this because I've been in there. They don't have this.
They don't. No. Yeah, it's a little disappointing.
It's kind of sad. Everything should be themed like your game. That's the rule. If you're the company.
Anyway. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean anyway. Like, I just was like doing a verbal cue. I didn't actually mean to like anyway you. Sorry.
You're all good.
I was... I'm making lots of mistakes today.
So how much more of that are you going to play before we're back to the retail grind?
Well, I'm probably going to play during retail a little bit because like it doesn't take up much time, and I want to be ready. So the new content they're adding, you kind of need the catch-up gear because they like Karazhan Crypts apparently is super hard without being geared. So like that's why I'm working on that stuff because like I got to say like one of the downsides about Classic is freaking travel. You got to go to the Plague Lands to do some stuff, and then Winter Spring, and then freaking Silithus. You know, it's. I think, please, just season of convenience. Drop some portals.
Season of convenience. Sock. They could call it.
Yeah. Call it WoW Sock.
WoW Sock. I like it.
But no. But we were fielding the numbers prior, and I think a lot of people bailed for retail. They're in Team Fusion. The Centrifuge runs in retail. And by the way, he needs healers on that team. So if you're interested in playing WoW and joining the guild. His team needs healers. But
Beau has turned his "What We Played" segment into a true WoW segment. Just like somebody asking a question at the fucking BlizzCon, like, "Hi, I have a question for Chris Metzen, but before that, Legions of Lodvar on Thunder Fury is looking for tanks right now.
Yep.
So if you know any tanks, we just need some tanks. Anyway, Mr. Metzen, do you like trolls?"
I hate that that's true. But anyways.
That's the guy, man. I told you
he was on your couch.
I told you, I fell asleep on my couch at a Nerdtacular, that guy.
Yeah.
Weirdest thing. Anyway, red shirt.
Regardless, I am recruiting, like, for the people who are in there to come back, because we want to do Scarlet Enclave and we need our numbers. So start playing SOD again, please. We're doing Saturdays. So our raid's Friday night still, as far as I know. So SOD raids will be Saturdays. And we're going to do AQ10 this weekend. Apparently it's very easy. And there's lots of gear. So
nice.
Lots of good stuff. Like, there's upgraded gear and stuff. So anyways, just come back. I'm not playing like full time Final Fantasy VII. I really want to play. So, and I will be playing Undermined because it looks like an awesome update. But yeah, I'm going to like sort of try to at least consistently, like Saturdays, spend some time in there and do some content with the sodomites.
Nice.
I shouldn't call them that.
No, it's not bad. I like that name, actually. Let me know when you get to this guy. I want to hear more about him. About the Sorcerer Supreme.
What specifically do you want to hear about him?
I don't know. Just kind of what's he about? What's his deal? I don't remember at all him as a tiny little pixel man in the PlayStation. So
I don't remember the characters in the Gold Saucer, but my sense is that it's definitely run by some people. He looks like he runs.
I'm pretty sure he's the guy who runs the Gold Saucer.
Okay. That might make sense.
Yeah, I mean, and 14 echoes it because the guy who runs the Gold Saucer in 14 also walks around in his underwear. So
there's kind of this rule in, I think, more like modern video games with better graphics, especially RPGs.
Yeah.
The more unique designed the character looks, the more important they probably are. There's a lot of NPCs that use like the generic mishmash of templates, and you're like, this is an NPC I won't be seeing later or won't have significant impact necessarily.
Yeah.
So I look at him and I'm like, oh, he's specially designed. So he's definitely doing something important.
Well, I'm just going to put this guy up here permanently. We're just going to have him back here. Right. Just always asking.
Anyways, thanks everyone for listening to this micro instance segment. Catch more with Bobby Frankenberger and
that's right,
Scott Johnson monthly on the regular.
Yeah, we just put one up. It was great. We had a great time talking about this new patch coming up and a few other things. The housing update. It was great. So if you're not listening to the Instance 2.0, you can get it. frogpants.com/instance. All right. Let's get to these voicemails and texts. Actually, it's just text right now because I already did the voicemails.
That's a good question.
And we got this one here from Taz. Oh, by the way, so Shatterproof owns the 10hams.com domain. If you go to 10hams, the number 10 hams.com, it will now take you to the voicemail thing.
Nice.
So that's, you know what? So from now on, it's no longer voicecast.app/core. That'll work, of course. But 10hams.com is your place to leave messages.
It comes full circle.
10 hams is real now.
Real. Go to 10.
Oh shit! We have we have real 10 hams.
Yeah, 10hams.com.
All right, let me leave a message telling you what I think about.
Yeah, let me know what you think there, and let's make sure that it works. Yep, it resolves.
All right, hang on. So let's see here. Hello, Scott. Thank you so much for change. Sorry, who changed it? Was it Shatterproof?
Shatterproof.
You redirected it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Shatterproof, for redirecting 10hams.com to this site.
Now let's find out.
Scott.
Oh,
John,
thank you
for being core. Beau, you suck.
All right, so you've sent it. Let's go see if we've got it. It might take a second to process. And then if you already sent it, you hit send.
I got to agree to the privacy policy and terms of use.
Oh, well, that's why I don't have it yet. So hurry in.
I've submitted it now, so
right.
it probably just needs to propagate.
Here it is. Oh, it's already translated. This is great. Everything you said is right here.
Oh.
But here it is. Let's play it.
All right, hang on. So let's see here. Hello, Scott. Thank you so much for change. Who changed it? Was it Shatterproof? He redirected it. Thank you, Shatterproof, for redirecting 10hams.com to this site. And thank you, Scott and John, for being core. Beau, you suck. There you go.
It worked great. But look at, the translation was immediate. I'm actually kind of blown. I don't know how he's doing
That's really good. That's awesome.
Look at this.
That's awesome. Everybody leave a message. It's so easy.
It's
and now
so easy.
10 Hams finally has a purpose.
Yeah.
10 Hams actually applies.
Actually means something. But look how good. Look how it translated your stuff, Beau. It's exact.
Did misspell both our names, though.
Oh.
And the website, 10hams.com.
10 Hams.
Oh, yeah. 10 Hams. That's great. All right. Well, I enjoyed the hell out of that. All right. Let's read this. Taz says, Scott, check out Uncle Chop's Rocket Shop on Steam. It's a wacky roguelike that I think you will like, says Taz, another friend of the program. If I go look at this, I'll bring it up here. It is something, you're not the first person. A few people have told me that I might like this, and it's reviewed pretty well, high 80s. And the description is, come on down to Uncle Chop's Rocket Shop for all your roguelike spaceship repair simulation needs. Warning, untested genre, not suitable for people with tentacles or arms of an aversion of dying horrifically. Anyway, looks like it's, let's get a little video going here. It looks like it's like you do some core.
The universe is full of stories.
Yeah.
Most are straight lines, flying true from beginning to end. But not this story. Grab a cold one and let me tell you the tale of Wilbur.
I like the style of it. The art style's cool.
Yeah.
Wilbur.
Yeah, I like what I heard of the video. That sounds good.
Can't stop playing. Someone help me, says the gamer. PC Gamer says it's weird and wonderful in all the ways I want my games to be, like an interactive, deadlier episode of Regular Show. That's cool. I'm a big fan of that show. So it looks like a lot of cleaning things, switching switches. It's very core. I might really like this. And it's reviewed well. Except this guy didn't like it. But everyone else, look at this. Look at these positive reviews. Oh, that guy didn't like it. These people love it. Look at all this. Look at all the love. See? I might check it out. How much is this piece of business? $19.99. Not bad. All right.
Yeah, $19.99.
99. All right. JR also wrote in.
New York City.
She speaks the bullshit. Core crew, I'm a gamer in his 40s, and I noticed a solid difference between 1080p and 4K, but I don't see the difference between 4K and 8K. Besides for VR, is 8K really needed by most gamers? I always thought 1440p on high frame rates was the sweet spot, says JR. I tend to agree. The curve has flattened a little bit on benefits, like a lot of things. You know, you have amazing leaps in resolution. 480 to 720 and 1080p was a massive jump, and 1080p to 4K was a pretty good jump, but again, it flattened out a little. The 4K to 8K is a little bit of a flatter jump. So, are there things you'll notice? Yes. Do we need to rush to 8K? Hell no.
Well, I mean, unless your pocketbook's stacked, I mean, how much is an 8K monitor anyways?
Or cards to drive that much. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you're spending 10K on your gaming rig, okay, but
yeah,
it's not really within the realm of affordability for many of us,
no.
I would think.
I don't think most people.
I'm on Newegg. This is a 8K monitor, $4,858.
Yeah. And you better have a 50, 70 to at least to kind of push the pixels you need. And then this doesn't guarantee that any of your games in particular are going to get the frame rates you want. So you'll end up knocking down to 4K or even lower anyway for the time being. It doesn't mean that one day this stuff isn't easy and normal, just like, 1080p used to seem out of reach, and now it's stupid. Like anybody can run 1080p anything. But that's how this stuff goes, and I think the rush to this is going to be less so, because I think people are smart enough to know that if they got a 4K monitor, they're kind of just about as good as their eyes can see. So,
yeah, I don't even know if, I really don't think 8K is practical. I wonder did we talk about it? I wonder what precipitated this idea on the part of the listener.
I don't know. Probably. Well, we have talked about resolution, and VR is a big deal, right? Per eye and all that.
Yeah, 8K is pretty good, although you're seeing still a lot of 4K.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think video is a different thing than game processing.
Yeah.
But ideally, I think it's 8. What's the P of? It's 4320 for the 8K?
the wide. We'll see, 1920 on it. 1080p is 1920.
Yeah,
is it 4320? That's right.
Yeah. Which I have. There are videos at 43. So yes, 8K video is like possible to stream to your Meta Quest.
Right.
But it's video.
Yeah,
it's different. It's like less intensive than a 3D game. It's definitely. I think most games are. Even though they're displaying in the eye, what's the pixel of the Quest?
Well, another factor to this while you're looking that up is that DLSS, FSR, these technologies that insert frames when you are missing them just aren't there yet for high resolution stuff. But that's the talk of how you fill that in for now. Yeah. It's all AI assisted improvements and stuff, which
I guess like Quest 3 is roughly 8K, but it's like different form factor. So it's not like a 16:9, but it is like 2000, roughly 2000 by 2000 per eye. Right. So it is rendering at a pretty high. It's rendering 2 game cameras actually for each eye.
Yeah.
In a 3D game space at 8K. But you see it in the games, they're not graphically very intensive unless you're running it on your PC. And even then, it's demanding. So, I would say for flat screen, I don't think we're getting that anytime soon.
I mean, it exists, but you just don't want it. It's not worth it.
You probably can achieve it for $10,000s of dollars.
Yeah, if you want to be that guy, go for it. But I don't know.
But I think probably 4K is enough, especially if you're using a monitor. Like a monitor's, if you're doing a 30-inch monitor, the pixel size isn't that big. If you're like, at one point I was gaming on my 50-inch TV years ago.
1080p on there, right?
And if you're at 1080p, sometimes, and I would sit like, a foot away from the screen because I'm like, this is immersive.
I remember you were doing like this. You would look up a lot when you were playing.
I wouldn't be up because I would actually use a lower shelf. So the center of the screen would be at my eye level. So if I'm playing an FPS, it actually feels like the periphery is my periphery. So you are still kind of looking around that way, but not that bad if you sit a foot away from it. But the pixels are big, man.
Yeah, they are big.
Because
you're right up on it, man. You're right up in it. Your eyes are right there. Yeah, I don't think you're going to want it. JR, let us know what you end up doing, because we're with you. I kind of think we all agree. Send your messages into 10hams.com. Or if you'd rather send us a text, you can do that at 801-471-0462. You can email us, talktothecore@gmail.com. All of those things come to us, and we read and check all of them. I think that's going to do it for us, except for this. I have to tell you about our patrons this month. Amazing people. We got some old timers I want to shout out to. Dougal, Mitchell, and Ron Powell. You may not know them by name, but you know them by spirit. No, these are great guys. And why do we know that? Because they've been supporting us for a very long time. And you should be too. Go check it out and get no commercials ever. Host specials every month. Pre-show content every week. Art in the mail. What else can you ask for? Nothing. Well, you could, but we're pretty full. But we may be able to do some other special stuff here and there. You never know. We do coverage of events. I think Nintendo's big Switch 2 April thing, we'll probably do that.
Yeah.
I really want to. I think it's early in the month, so that'll work. And, whenever we can, we try to bring you guys extra stuff. So help us out. Support us today at patreon.com/core show. You can find all this and everything else over at frogpants.com/core. And now we give the mic to Grandma, who will now take us out and tell us what we played so no one forgets. Grandma, take it away.
Yeah, my voice is a little messed at the moment, so I'm going to do the voice changer today, and we'll just see what we get.
All right.
Let me just Let's.
What's this?
Oh, I like this. Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
The wizard from Final Fantasy VII is here.
Hello. It is I, the video game wizard.
Uh-huh.
I'm here to tell you the video games that
I moved
Catwoman talked about.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Number 1, Avowed. Scott and John played it. It's Avowed.
Yeah.
Dunnfolk. Scott played that.
Yeah.
It's a game. Sunday Rivals. If you're saying, what football game did Scott talk about? It's Sunday Rivals, baby.
And when I think wizards, I think this voice.
Civilization 7 also got talked about for like 0.1 second. And you might have missed it.
Yeah.
Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. That got talked about. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yep, that's a game. And Beau recruited for his guild and also talked about World of Warcraft Season of Discovery.
Yeah.
Can you say fireballs? Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Fireballs. Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good. You sound like your grandma's in the witness protection program, as somebody in the chat mentioned.
So then they came into the room and they said, you need to read every video game they talked about for their 7.5 hour long podcast.
Yeah.
And that means not only do I have to listen to this goddamn show, but I have to remember every video game they talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and it's basically elder abuse.
Yeah. Be it that or go to prison. I mean, which do you prefer? What do you want?
Yeah, Grandma, you want to go to prison?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm supposed to be anonymous?
Oh, sorry.
No, I just mean hypothetically. I'm speaking.
Like if I was a hypothetical grandma?
I just mean I wasn't directed at you. I was directed at
grandmas everywhere.
Grandmas worldwide. Just any grandma.
Yeah, we're abusing
might be
all the
listening
grandmas.
to the show and hired to say what video games they talk about.
That's right. Yeah. All of them better watch out and read those video game notes and listen to those shows.
That's right, damn it.
Or we're sending the gold saucer boss after you.
Oh no. Oof. Ugh. Can you imagine that showing up at your door? Hell no. Well, all right. Well, we've learned about all we can from Grandma, or sorry, from our witness protection person, whose name we will not reveal.
It's Barry the wizard.
Barry the wizard.
Could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody.
Barry.
Could have been Barry. We don't know. All right.
Barry.
That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening, and come back next week for more right here on Core.
Well, 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 look at you listening to me speaking to you. Find more great shows and goodies at frogpants.com. Yeah.